Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto becomes master of healing chakra part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. So you see, Hokage-sama, the patient had an issue in which his kidneys were completely burnt by internal chakra use. I suspect that Hiruzen Sarutobi looked at the young teen before him and sighed. The teen wore a long white coat, specially made for doctors that have been professionally sanctioned. Underneath that was a simple, silky white shirt, a Chunin vest over that and straight, black pants. Naruto-kun. He spoke but to no avail as the teen continued rambling, overdid his training again. But the idiots working down at the ER thought he had an underlying condition because the patient would not wake up. So, my suggestion is, the boy continued in a drawling voice, and the third Hokage twitched in annoyance. He hated when the boy would get this way, seemed to space out when giving long reports. Naruto-kun. He spoke a bit higher. The boy finally snapped his head a bit. To fire the entire ER crew, he finished lamely, and grinned. Sorry about that, Hokage-sama. Hiruzen just nodded, no matter. However, I do not have power over what goes on at the hospital and its internal affairs. You should go over this with the head of the medic corps, your master, am I correct? Naruto sighed. Rin-sensei is very close with all of her employees, even the most incompetent ones. She won't fire anyone, he replied dejectedly. I don't have time for such trivial matters, Hokage-sama. If the ER cannot handle even the simplest of assignments, how will I ever handle all of my affairs? What affairs, you lazy boy? The old man thought to himself quietly. In this current generation, Uzumaki Naruto was perhaps one of the greatest medical minds to have ever graduated from the corps. Ever since that fateful day many years ago, when he had broken through boundaries and had graduated from the regular ninja academy at the age of 8, then advanced through the medical corps at a similar rate, taking a mere 3 years. That had been 4 years ago in itself. So here and now stood a young, certified diagnostician whom was only 14 years old, nearing 15, and already held one of the highest paying jobs they had to offer in Konoha. One would think of the boy as a crazy workaholic. Hiruzen could not help but feel that it was the exact opposite according to his own personal observations over the years. The fact of the matter was, he worked very few cases a week, and thus, had all the time in the world to get anything he wished completed. And here, he was now complaining about not getting enough time to himself. Naruto-kun, I cannot fire anyone, the old man said, and the boy before him seemed displeased. My boy, what are the affairs that you must get done? Why not simply hire some Genin team to get it done for you? The blonde sneered, as if I would trust a bunch of wet behind the ear Genins with my affairs. Then how about Chunin? They wouldn't understand my craft, Hokage-sama. He replied easily, I'm afraid that my reason for visit is complete. I'll see you another day. You have no affairs, the Hokage said boldly, making the blonde sputter for a split second. Oh, of course I do, Naruto replied. I'm afraid I must leave now. He tried to go for the door, had it not closed right in his face. The old man sighed. Sit down, Naruto-kun. The teen complied and watched as the Hokage pulled out an immense file, almost filling out a part of the desk, and placed it in front of him. No, he muttered, recognizing those papers. Yes, Hiruzen said in the same tone, and pulled out the topmost paper. A summary of hours registered in the walk-in clinic, something all medics need to do every year as a standard requirement of employment. He started. Uzumaki Naruto. Hours registered this year, 0. Hours registered overall, 5. The blonde's chin folded down to his chest. The Hokage knew the boy loathed clinic duty and let out a tiny smirk. Naruto looked about ready to puke at the mere thought of being forced to do clinic duty. Now is the time for you to say what do youngsters say these days? Oh yes. I believe the term is known as parley. It was now the doctor's turn to raise a brow. No, I'm not a pirate. Negotiations is fine with me. The Hokage chuckled. You are to become a field agent. No, yes. Because you are without a shadow of a doubt the laziest shinobi I have on my forces, Naruto replied indignantly. What about Hatake and the entire Nara clan? Hiruzen nearly conceded to that point. Well, Kakashi served many years in ANBU. He was also a part of the Third War, and the Nara clan are excellent providers of medical herbs and other stuff. Or excuse them for doing their jobs. The blonde muttered to himself. I work from 9 to 5 every day. I solve all the cases that are brought to me with the utmost efficiency. Yes, all 2 of them a week. Sarutobi deadpanned. And the last time you had a clinic patient, you sent them home crying, and cured. Naruto finished. Why a field agent? Why not just make me a specialized ANBU healer or whatever job you can come up with? Sarutobi pulled out another file. The last mission you had was 3 months ago. An A rank to Kumo. Naruto muttered something about annoying climates, but Sarutobi ignored that. Fact of the matter is, you can potentially be one of my best overall shinobi. Not just as a doctor, Naruto sighed. You're not letting this go, are you? The old man nodded. Fine. Naruto knew that no matter what, the Hokage will have his way. The man had the power to make his life more miserable than ever, so why not take the less evil route, the blonde doctor thought. The Hokage smiled. Excellent. Now the team, you have no complaints about being on a team, right? The blonde shook his head, knowing how important it was to have a team. As long as they're competent, he muttered in a low tone. Right. You see, he was cut off by the door suddenly being broken into, revealing a young woman who had a note in her arms. Hokage-sama. It's from Kakashi's team. The old man frowned and read the coded note. He then smiled. Naruto did not like that smile one bit. I have a mission for you already, Naruto-kun. How about that? It must be fate. You're starting to sound like this one really annoying Higa I know. The blonde deadpanned. It seems Kakashi has called for backup. His team ran into the demon brothers on their way to Wave. They are Chunin-leveled Mist Shinobi and are known associates to Momochi Zabuza, demon of the Bloody Mist. Naruto waited for him to go, so he did. The mission was to escort a bridge builder and oversee his safety until his bridge is completed. Kakashi has his Genin team with him. I want you to back them up, seeing as how there are no medic means on his squad. Very well. Can I do this one solo? I'm afraid so. The team I had in mind for you are not on the clock yet, and every other squad I can send are not quite as formidable as you. Naruto nodded. So I'm to head to Wave then? The Hokage nodded and threw the mission briefing to him. Good luck, Naruto sighed. By your leave. Hiruzen nodded, allowing the doctor to leave. Now alone, the Hokage smiled and laughed happily. The future is looking bright. Now all of that potential isn't being wasted inside of his humongous office. Harino Sakura was not having a good day, let alone an entire week. She had graduated from the Academy of Shinobi not too long ago, a few months actually from this day to be exact. At that point, she was proud to be serving her village, and her parents were proud of her for being the first shinobi of their family. After weeks upon weeks of doing useless D-ranked missions, their class clown named Inuzuka Kibaho just happened to be on her team managed to convince the Hokage to give them a C-ranked mission. At first, it was all smiles when the thought of surpassing her rival Ino, who was on another squad, by completing a higher class of mission came to mind. But now, Sakura found that she was terrified of the coming future. Only a day ago, her squad leader, Hatake Kakashi, had engaged and defeated another Jonin who had come to strike at the bridge builder, but not without consequence. After the fight, he had fallen as well, and it was now up to the Genin to decide how to run the show until Kakashi woke up. She sighed. Her team was clearly not ready for this step yet. The pink-haired girl snapped out of her thoughts when she heard a knock on the door. She stood and carelessly walked over to answer it. As she opened the door, Sakura was met with a young teen, not much older looking than herself honestly, and was wearing a standard Chunin vest. Hi. How can I help you? You fail. He replied in a conversational tone. Never in all my years of service, the blonde muttered to himself with a facepalm, but not silent enough for the girl to miss. Sakura was now confused. What? And who are you? 0 observation skills. Why am I not surprised, he replied and then pointed to the leaf headband on his forehead. Clearly, I'm your backup. What the hell are the academy teaching you all these days? The young girl seemed a bit indignant but relented. Oh. I'm sorry. She then motioned for him to enter. My goodness, what the hell is the matter with you? Look, you idiot, I could have been an enemy shinobi who just happened to have a spare Konoha headband. Aren't you going to ask me some sort of question to verify that I'm your real reinforcements? The doctor asked, annoyed. The pink-haired girl seemed bemused, so Naruto sighed. He decided to be merciful just this one time. Whatever. Just let this be a lesson for the future. Oh, and none of you bothered to set up any sort of perimeter defense. So overall, this team of Genin absolutely sucks so far. And with that, he pushed the girl out of the way and walked in. She began to grow red in the face. Whether it was embarrassment or anger, he did not care to identify. Now where's that idiot Jonin of yours? He's upstairs. She replied timidly. Now it was clear on her face, the embarrassment from being criticized by someone wearing a fancy green vest. He rolled his eyes, of course. Walking calmly up the stairs, he heard a voice from behind him. Who is he? And what is he doing here? Naruto replied without looking back. Again. 0 observation skills. I pity Kakashi for having such an incompetent team. He did not turn back to see the boy nearly attack him, but was held back by another person. That's a Chunin. It was another male voice. Ignoring the Genin, Naruto entered through the room that he could see Kakashi in as the door was wide open. He surveyed the unconscious man before kneeling down next to his side. You idiot. He positioned his hand above the Jonin's forehead. Just as he was about to channel chakra, a voice behind spoke up. What are you doing? She asked, alarmed. My job, duh. He replied. Shaozen no Jutsu, mystical palm. His hand lit up and turned a light green. He realized that the 3 Genin were watching in earnest but only focused on healing the Jonin. After a few seconds, the silver-haired man, who was previously unconscious, woke up. He took a second to survey who was around him. Hello, Genin? He said weakly, eye smiling. And medic. Oh. Naruto. Just like old times, Kakashi. You lay down on a futon injured as Rin-sensei makes me practice on you. The Jonin chuckled, indeed. Are you the only one that came? The doctor nodded, I see. How fast can you get me back up to speed? It's 7 in the morning right now. I can get you up to speed by the crack of noon. Excuse me, he had a severe case of chakra exhaustion. Shouldn't that take at least a week to heal? The girl asked. Naruto looked at her with a face that clearly said shut up. Well then, the real medic here seems to have spoken. She thinks that you should stay in bed for a week, Kakashi-san. Who am I, the amateur doctor, to protest? The sheer amount of sarcasm in his voice shut the girl up. Severe case. He mocked repeated, don't make me laugh. None of you have ever seen a severe case of chakra exhaustion before in your life. My diagnosis is, Kakashi got his ass kicked but won the fight using about 90% of his chakra. Thus, he collapsed from fatigue with some wounds, only mere fatigue with some wounds, and needed a real medic to just patch up his minor internal and external injuries. 10% of chakra is plentiful, enough to keep you alive just as long as you don't push it below 2.77%, which is the standard case of severe chakra exhaustion, as you say, pink one. Kakashi here is just lazy. They all looked at him in awe, but he paid no mind to it. No matter. Report. Kakashi seemed a bit shaken. He hadn't been ordered by a Chunin ever since he himself was a Genin, and that, in itself, had been a long time ago. I think Zabuza is still alive and he has backup. What? Two of the Genin yelled behind Naruto. The third just widened his eyes slightly. What do you mean he's still alive? The weapon he was killed with, what were they? Kakashi asked. Sakura then looked as if a stunning revelation had just hit her. Senbon. And that was all Naruto needed to know to catch on to the topic. No one kills with senbons. Takes too much skill and practice to even throw senbon, much less kill someone with it. Unless you're a show-off, of course. When I was fighting Zabuza, a Kiri hunter ninja caught him by surprise and planted about 3 senbon into his neck. When I checked his pulse, it was gone. He was only dead temporarily. The blonde replied for the benefit of the genin who were confused. I'm aware of this technique and the skill level it requires to use it. His backup should be mid to high Chunin if my estimates are right. But from what I concur, you never sensed him, right? Kakashi shook his head. I was too busy on Zabuza. Then it's safe to say that he is borderline Jonin in raw skill. That had the genin behind him worried. Naruto continued, I'll get you up to speed as quickly as possible. You need to train your genin. Hi! They answered before leaving. Naruto then continued his treatment. Your chakra is at 20%. All I can really do is stimulate your tenketsus, allowing it to charge back up faster. Other than that, only a few minor scrapes. Thank you? Was all the Jonin said. Would you mind showing Sakura some medical techniques? It would really help the squad. Naruto scoffed. The pink-haired one with all but air in her head? I highly doubt she has the talent. Ah, come on, Naruto. My first impression of them weren't that great either. People change. Sakura is actually a very talented shinobi. Kiba and Sasuke don't match her skills when it comes to chakra control, something a medic values above all else. You're wrong about that, Kakashi. Naruto replied calmly. Any crappy medic can have excellent chakra control. Then what do medics value the most, Naruto? The medic did not care to answer. Later that day, Kakashi stood up and smiled. Feels good to be back on my feet. Naruto nodded and left the room, leaving the door open for Kakashi to follow through. The Jonin quickly caught up. So, you're back in the field? Change of heart? Blackmail? Was all the younger man said. It was either this or being forced to serve in the clinic helping the world's stupidest people. Kakashi had the gall to laugh. Ah, was it Rin or Hokage-sama? The old man? Naruto replied, saying it as if he thought no one else had the balls to blackmail him. As he made it out the door, it only took him a moment to survey the area. He instantly spotted the genin. What do you intend to teach them? Zabuza and his accomplice are way stronger than them. A little training won't do anything to raise their chances of survival. I know. Was Kakashi's grim answer. That's why I need you to help. The accomplice will need to be handled. I will defeat Zabuza. Naruto shrugged. Technically, I'm not supposed to fight on the front lines according to Tsunade-sama's second clause of the duties of a medical ninja. He replied, but I'm not a stickler for the rules, so why the hell not? The silver-haired ninja sounded relieved. That's good. Truth was, he didn't think the blonde would agree to the plan. He had never liked fighting during his training back then. Again, what will you teach them? Kakashi smiled. I think it's a good time to teach them the tree climbing exercise. And it was in that moment did Naruto pause. He seemed to be in deep thought for a moment, before turning his gaze to the Jonin. Kakashi, yes? You suck. With the genin. So what do you think of that new guy? Kiba asked. He doesn't seem too tough. I bet me and Akamaru could take him. Uchiha Sasuke, the third genin of the trio, scoffed. Idiot. He wears a Chunin vest for a reason. He's kind of a mean. Sakura said timidly. The first thing he said when I opened the door was, you fail. I mean, we were never given proper instruction and well, Kakashi. Sakura. The raven-haired boy cut her off. Shut up. They're coming. Hello, my genin. The Jonin said in a cheerful tone. I have come to deliver some training. Naruto decided to fade into the back and watch. There wasn't much a medic was supposed to do. Sure, he could help train the genin, but it wasn't his responsibility. He had no obligations here except to heal the wounded and to contribute in order to complete the mission. He watched as the girl, Sakura if he remembered right, soaked the exercise up in a moment. Naruto mentally scoffed as he saw Kakashi give him a telling look. Whatever, Kakashi. Excellent job, Sakura. Now then, why don't you keep practicing? She nodded. When does the bridge builder wish to continue his little project? Naruto asked aloud. Kakashi thought for a moment. Tomorrow, I believe he said, back on the boat. Naruto nodded and then closed his eyes, trying to relax. You know, maybe you should do a little training yourself, Naruto. The doctor shrugged. I'll be fine. You should be more worried about your little Genin up there. Hey! Naruto heard an indignant scream, but did not care to open his eyes to look up. What makes you think that you're better than us? Arf. I'm taller. The blonde opened his eyes and began counting off numerous factors. Smarter, faster, stronger, more charming, more experienced and more consistent than you all, was his conversational reply, further enraging the single Genin. Fuck you, how vulgar. Naruto stretched his arms to rest behind his head. You shouldn't be offended. I've been a shinobi for quite a while now. I am accomplished. You are only at the beginning of your career. Logically, I'm a better shinobi than you. I bet we could take you on, right, Akamaru? Arf. Naruto sighed. You may believe what you want. He then began drifting off to sleep. Loudmouths are usually the easiest to beat. Usually. He mentally thought, amused. TCH. Kakashi sighed. Ma, get back to your training, Kiba. Naruto, stop provoking my Genin. Naruto grinned. You are way too soft on these kids, Kakashi. How will they ever learn if you don't give them a slice of reality every now and then? He took a pause, then continued. New Genin typically think that they are the best to ever grace the lands. But the truth is, 85% of them will die within 5 years of service. You're right. The Jonin responded. But now is not the time to scare them. The blonde didn't respond right away, like I care. And those were his last words before snoring could be heard from him. Flashback. Naruto, where the hell were you? You missed the team gatherings. A girl yelled out. You'll never make friends if you don't ever show up, Naruto. She stood at 5'3", far taller than the boy she was currently yelling at. Her hair was dark as the night, and she had dark pupils. Her clothing was a fan, the very symbol of her clan. The blonde child, who looked no older than 8, sighed and rubbed the back of his head. Hey, sorry, Nachan. I was held back by my Aunt Rin. She had to talk to me about something. What was it? The girl asked. Was it really so important for you to miss nearly 3 hours of hanging out with us? My training. Apparently, she's gonna kick it into high gear. She thinks I'm better than half her employees. He smiled widely. The girl chuckled and ruffled the boy's hair, annoying him a bit. You have such a high opinion of yourself, Naruto. Well, I'm awesome, nothing I can do about it. He replied in a strictly calm voice, making her smile. Right, well, better go meet up with Shin. I'll see you later, Naruto. Ah, okay. See you later, Nachan. She turned around, walking at a medium pace. Naruto sighed and watched her go with a blank look in his eyes. Naruto opened his eyes. His dream had ended, to see that the Genin were down on the grass panting. How were they? Naruto yawned. Sakura burned out the fastest, followed by Kiba, then Sasuke, who just recently came down himself. Kakashi said. The doctor nodded. How long have I been out? 3 hours. Standing up, he stretched out. He eyed the Genin once more with a look Kakashi could not identify and then spoke up. We should get back for dinner. The Jonin agreed and called down his Genin. To Zuna's house. An old man mumbled, looking at the one ninja he definitely did not recognize. All he did know was, the blonde was a member of Konoha. I don't mean to sound rude or nothing, but who are you? Naruto finished his mouth full of food before answering. Uzumaki Naruto, certified medical ninja. Medic? The old man said, surprised. You don't strike me as one. Hell, aren't you a bit young too? The blonde shrugged and continued eating. So of course, Kakashi had to say something. He's the youngest to ever graduate as a certified medic. Wow. A woman spoke. She had been making the lovely meal Naruto had been chowing down on. That's impressive. So, you're kinda like a doctor. That's exactly what I am. He replied with a smile. Thank you. Medics don't fight. Kiba said so. Naruto just looked at him as if he were a stupid kid. He started. I know you're not all there up there, but did you seriously just make that generalization? What? Sasuke just looked at Kiba and sighed. Tsunade of the Sannin was a medic. The Uchiha pointed out, she's a powerful shinobi. They didn't speak much from then on, except for a few comments here and there. Naruto felt quite relaxed in the home. It had a welcoming aura to it. Why? A boy said. Naruto continued to eat, ignoring the seemingly random word. What? The dog boy spoke. What's up? Why do guys keep fighting? You won't win. Gato is too powerful. The doctor resisted the urge to snort into his glass of water. Because it's our mission. Sakura supplied, confused by the boy's statement. You'll die. The kid replied, you're all gonna die. There are no heroes here, he'll kill them all. What? Kiba exclaimed, we're shinobi. We're not regular people like Gato who can't do anything but bully people around. The boy just scoffed and looked to leave. You're all weak. None of you know anything. What do you know about pain? You're no mat. May I have some more rice, please? Naruto interrupted. They all looked at him. Sorry for interrupting. This rice is just way better than anything I can make at home. Kakashi looked fairly amused, as did Sasuke and Tsunade. Tsunade did as he requested, thank you, was all he said, and then he just continued to eat. Inari seemed to have forgotten what he was gonna say, so he left the table to go to his room. Kiba seemed both angry at being talked down to by a kid, and bemused by the whole situation. What was that all about? He muttered. Well, you see, Tsunade said, it's a long story, we have all night. Kakashi said. Tsunade nodded and began. Naruto did not listen to a single word, not caring too much for the personal issues of others. The next day, where's Naruto-san? Sakura asked, looking at the lone Jonin who was training them. Kakashi smiled. Naruto is currently watching over Tsunade as he continues to build his bridge. He volunteered to do the full shift today so all of you could get as much training as possible. What a nice guy, right? Kiba scoffed. Well, at least he's good for something. He didn't do anything but sleep and insult us yesterday. Sakura looked like she wanted to say something too, but she caught herself. Ma, he's like that to almost everyone. Don't take it too personally. Anyways, shouldn't you be tree climbing? Sasuke is almost at the top already. Kiba looked up from where he was at and twitched. The Jonin was right. Shit! Just as Sakura was about to go start climbing the tree, Kakashi stopped her. Sakura, you won't be climbing trees today. She widened her eyes. You'll be going to the next level. Do you have a bathing suit of some sort? No, sensei. I didn't think I would need one. Kakashi nodded. Doesn't matter, your regular clothes will do. He took out a note. Go to the bridge and hand this to Naruto. From then on, just follow his directions. She looked hesitant but nodded anyways. Kakashi smirked as he watched her leave. No free day for you, Naruto. At the bridge, that one-eyed son of a bitch. Naruto cursed mentally. Sakura looked at him nervously. Naruto rolled his eyes. He wasn't surprised. From his observations, the reason Kakashi was teaching at the moment was because the academy currently had an excellent student. That excellent student just happened to be an Uchiha, and only one person had the qualifications to teach an Uchiha. A while back, he had taken a patient who kept raving on and on about some kid who was bound to be Rookie of the Year who just happened to be an Uchiha, which meant that the Uchiha on this team was the Rookie of the Year, and that meant that this girl was the highest scoring female of the academy. But she didn't act like it at all. In fact, she acted like an idiot most of the time, which led him to believe that she was the bookworm type of girl. All of this pointed to the fact that she was indeed a goody-goody girl who didn't want to do any wrong. That was why she was embarrassed when he criticized her, and why she seemed unfamiliar with being criticized in the first place. Nope, definitely not medic material at the moment. He looked at the note again and mentally cursed again. He had been planning on slacking off today, knowing that according to Kakashi, Zabuza had been terribly hurt himself. Naruto knew just how powerful Kakashi was, and according to the details, Zabuza was estimated to be out for a week, so he knew for a fact that there was a 95% chance of absolutely nothing happening today. Good odds in his opinion. Kakashi has asked me to teach you how to walk on water. Sakura looked interested in that. He continued, I can teach you this easily, especially from here. Can you swim? She nodded. Good. Now follow me. He walked to the corner of the bridge. From here, I can overlook your training and watch over Tsunade at the same time. I will take a brief moment to explain to you how water walking works. It's not too complicated unless you're an idiot. You basically do what you did for tree walking with the exception of having to consistently adapt to the currents of what you are standing on. She looked confused at the last part. He sighed. Just do it. The more you do it, the better you will get at it. Hi, was her only reply as she left to attempt it. Naruto was amused by her timid nature but thought nothing of it. Well, at least Kakashi gave me a fair amount of entertainment. Not many things like watching a green genin try to walk on water only to fall. Meanwhile elsewhere, reinforcement you say? Zabuza asked. He was currently bedridden and wrapped in bandages. The masked shinobi nodded. Hi, a blonde teenager, not much older than the other genin. With the exception of what I recognize as a Konoha Chunin vest. Zabuza paused to think for a moment. I see. Gather more intel on this person. What do you believe he can do? He does not seem to be a fighting type. Haku said after a moment. Also, I noticed Hatake was up and about. Already? He used a lot of chakra in our fight. Figured he'd be out in a week. Haku nodded, having come to the same conclusion. I believe he may be a healer of sorts. A medical ninja, Zabuza nodded. Medics are tough to combat directly, he admitted, having many years of experience to back his statement. Assassinate him if you have the opportunity, Zabuza ordered before falling asleep. He did not notice his accomplice freeze up for a moment. Hi, was all the figure said before leaving his boss to sleep. Assassination, Naruto sputtered indignantly, then turned to look back at his opponent. How in the blue hell did you get so many damn S's? He muttered in reply, this is bullshit, Sajin. You have to be cheating. You are lucky that they weren't Q's, Naruto-sama. A squeaky voice replied. In front the blonde doctor, two animals sat down in front of a relatively large board game set. Said animals were foxes, both small and generally devious-looking creatures in every sense of the word. One had a fur coat that matched the color of a shark, a sea-like blue, and the other had a fiery red color. The blue fox, Sajin, was currently smirking. The red fox, Volpone, only shook his head. You have to be cheating. I can't believe you took advantage of me playing down nation. This sucks. The fox laughed out loud. It was of a low volume, but it rang of mockery. You just suck at Kitsune Scramble, Naruto-sama. The medic sighed and looked back down at the board and to the letters on his turn. To hell with this. New game. Kakashi watched as his young friend interact with his personal summons, both amused and annoyed at the same time. The Jonin had assigned him to train Sakura only a day ago, something that he seemed to be neglecting at the moment. Naruto, didn't I ask you to train Sakura? Naruto ignored the older man and kept staring at the board, before moving a sum of his pieces. Jump, he said, indicating the word he placed. Kakashi's lone visible eye twitched. Naruto. Pumped. The fox laughed. Double points. The blonde doctor then began a string of curses. Naruto, Kakashi said again, this time truly annoyed. How is Sakura? Oh, don't get your panties into a twist, Kakashi. She has already completed the exercise. Naruto cut him off. I told her to join the other two and help them out with their own chakra control issues. Kakashi sighed. Why didn't you just say so? Naruto didn't answer, knowing it was a rhetorical question. The Jonin stalked away to find his genin and left the blonde alone. Naruto-sama. The second fox spoke up, his voice deep. You have not summoned us in a long time. I believe it has been half a year or so. Why now? Naruto nodded at Volpone. I need you two to track down a Miss Jonin in the area. If we can find him, then we can find his boss, Gato. I want a piece of his fortune by the time this mission is over. That will be no problem at all, Naruto-sama. But why not have the Jonin do so? He is the summoner of the dogs if his smell is anything to go by. That is not his mission. The blonde replied curtly. I want this to be off the records completely. Gato is rich and with his funds, I will be able to financially support my secret project. The two foxes shared a look before shrugging. It will be done, they replied. Naruto smiled. Excellent. Oh, and tried to catch the attention of one of the important men. I want someone to interrogate. Lead them to me. He then placed down a few pieces. Victory, he spelled out with a smirk. Oh yeah? Can't counter that move, can ya, Sajin? The blue fox just smirked. My apologies, Naruto-sama, he said, denied. The fox spelled with his own pieces. Triple points. Volpone only shook his head. You never learn, Naruto-sama. Anyways, we will have the job done, rest assured. Had anyone been in the area, they would have heard a violent string of curses and the mocking laughter of a fox. Later that day, in 2 days, I think Zabuza will strike once again. Kakashi spoke out loud to his team. In 2 days, I must prepare you guys effectively. The genin were watching with their complete attention, unlike the medic, who just seemed bored by the whole situation. The week Kakashi had projected for the team to train was nearly up, and he truly believed that Zabuza would now return to strike at full power soon. He glanced over at Naruto, worried for the boy seeing as how he hadn't been on the field for a long time. Half a year was definitely a long tenure for a shinobi to be inactive even for a top-class shinobi like him. Naruto, you will be handling the accomplice. My team will protect Tsunade and I will personally deal with Zabuza. The commanding Jonin spoke. If there are any complications, we will deal with it accordingly. He then finished. What if he's brought back up? Sasuke pointed out. Then you guys will take care of them if you can. If you cannot, well, just ask Naruto for help. He's fairly powerful himself. Said Blonde did not respond to the praise. Kiba looked skeptical. Are you sure, sensei? We haven't even seen if he can fight yet. It was at that point when the silver-haired Jonin began chuckling. Ma, I've been on missions with him before. Trust me, he and I are not too far apart. The genin widened their eyes at that proclamation. Anyways, Kakashi muttered, I believe it is time to step up your training. Eh? What's going on? Kiba seemed excited, as did Sasuke, though he did not show it as openly. Sparring practice, of course. The genin smiled, except for Sakura, who seemed insecure about her own combat prowess. Naruto frowned. He did not like the eye smile of his master's best friend. Here's how it will all go down. 10 minutes later. I hate you, Kakashi. Naruto muttered. I was having such a wonderful morning too, honestly. Do you think these 3 weaklings have even a chance at defeating me? Not defeat. Kakashi replied quickly, cutting off Kiba's indignant yell. They just need experience in straight-up combat. Right. The doctor sighed. Honestly, I didn't go to the medic corps to deal with all this nonsense. Of course. You went to the medic corps because you disliked the Jonin who was assigned to your genin team. He replied in a conversational tone. Now this is the fun part about being Chunin Naruto. Because beating up a bunch of weak genin is so much fun, right? Was the sarcastic reply. If I wanted to do that, I'd go find a genin who are at least not rookies. Well, beggars cannot be choosers. A reply that had absolutely nothing to do with the conversation. A classic Kakashi retort. Whatever. Who's my first victim? The genin all scowled. Sakura will go up first, Kakashi said, shocking the girl. Kakashi-sensei. I'm not a frontline fighter. Then what is your purpose in this squad? The blonde muttered aloud. You don't even look like decent cannon fodder. Kakashi sighed. Ma, there is no need to be so mean-spirited, Naruto. Sakura, just do your best. I'm sure you'll do just fine. She nodded and walked up hesitantly. Naruto did not even move. his hands in his pockets and watching her with a lazy gaze. He's not taking me seriously. She seemed angry by the admission. Begin. After hearing her sensei, she carefully went through the necessary hand seals to perform the academy's best technique. Bunshin no Jutsu clone. 4 Sakura clones appeared beside the original, charge. They all went up to run. Naruto yawned, aggravating the young Genin even more. Take this. The first Sakura jumped. Naruto did not even flinch as he let the clone pass through him. The second one attacked from his rear but also passed through him, but as the third came by, Naruto lashed out and kicked the girl in the stomach. It landed on the original. The pink-haired Genin flew back to her starting position, gasping for breath from the hard kick. As strong. She gasped too fast. Really? He drawled. I was holding my speed down to typical Genin level. I'm not done. She roared, calmly flashing through more hand seals. Naruto rolled his eyes, great more visible hand seals and useless bravado. She completed the hand seals and Naruto suddenly felt as if he were in a different world. Rolling his eyes, he silently diffused the genjutsu. Sakura smiled as she successfully caught him in her genjutsu. Naruto smiled because he thought it was cute that she thought she caught him in her genjutsu. Typical Genin arrogance. Naruto thought as he watched her charge him again, only to be kicked back again. I swear, even little baby Kono could beat you if this is the best you can do. The blonde muttered, Kakashi, let her tag out for someone. This is pathetic. The Jonin sighed. He didn't think Sakura would have been that ineffective. Nodding, you're done for now, Sakura. She nodded, unable to keep the shame out of her eyes. Hadn't she graduated in the top 5 of her class not too long ago? How had this boy, who looked no older than her, defeat her so easily? Kiba. Was all Kakashi got to say as the boy ran up quickly with his partner behind him. Let's do this, Akamaru. They charged straight at him. Naruto only spared a look at Kakashi, who only sighed and shook his head, before looking back to the younger Genin. He rose hand and backhanded the charging boy, knocking him back hard into a tree, knocking him out. He didn't even bother with Akamaru, who seemed to only follow his master into battle. Okay, this is not turning out the way I thought it would be. Kakashi muttered with a sweat drop. Sasuke. The last Genin nodded and stepped forward. Naruto spared the boy a glance before narrowing his eyes. He then smiled. Uchiha, huh? If you are even half as talented as your brother was when he was at your age, then I might actually have to work a bit. Sasuke narrowed his eyes but did not reply. The raven-haired boy threw a multitude of shuriken at the blonde from several different angles. Naruto moved up to avoid the majority of them, and inclined his head slightly to one side to dodge the last. He then watched on as the Uchiha began moving quickly around him, hiding, trying to attack from different angles with kunai and shuriken, only for the blonde to dodge them all. This one isn't bad. At least he realized I'd destroy him up front. Too bad his brother was 1,000 times better at his age. Naruto thought to himself, you are good. But really, why not use your Sharingan? Kakashi sighed, he's yet to activate it. Naruto widened his eyes. I see. He calmly plucked a stray shuriken from the air. Hey kid. You can thank me for this later. Sasuke didn't understand what he was trying to say, so he continued his tactical assault. Clearly, the boy understood that fighting up front against the blonde was a bad idea if his speed was anything to go by. The Uchiha stopped dead in his tracks when the blonde suddenly appeared before him with slight bursts of killing intent leaking out. Naruto launched a punch and sent the boy flying towards a tree. The boy did not have the opportunity to stand as a kick was delivered to his side, launching him into an entirely new direction. Sakura and Kiba watched in awe as they watched the rookie of the year get pummeled by a boy not much older than them. Who is he? Sakura nearly yelled. He's so strong, a medical ninja. One of the best in our village. Kakashi answered lazily. Naruto is quite famous. Or rather, infamous to many other nations. Sasuke was nearly breathless as he tried to track down the blonde and continued to fight. It was getting easier to read his movements, but no matter how hard he tried, the blonde kept hitting him. The Uchiha was not one to give up, however, and continued to fight. A punch landed to his side, a kick landed to his temple, an elbow landed in his stomach. Sasuke knew he was taking the beating of his life at the moment, but he kept getting back up. Finally, he saw it, the trajectory of the kick the blonde was about to give him. Instead of dodging, something he didn't have the strength to do, he tried to catch it. Of course, that didn't end too well as the older boy was clearly more powerful than him. Sasuke was once again launched onto his back, hurt. Finally he heard the blonde muttered, that wasn't too bad now, was it? Sasuke glared at him, not with anger but with determination. The spar's over. I'll let the dog boy come up next. You take a break, Uchiha. Sasuke grunted. I can still go. Perhaps. Naruto admitted, but sometimes, it's nice to slow down and smell the flowers. It's not every day you activate your Sharingan. The Uchiha widened his eyes and walked slowly over to the nearby river. When he saw the red in his eyes, gratitude filled him. Like I said, you can thank me later. Go ask Kakashi for tips on using those things, they will be helpful. Did you know my brother? Sasuke asked. You talk of him as if you knew him? The tone of your voice anyways. Naruto was quiet for a moment. Yes. Was all Naruto said. As a doctor, I've helped treat numerous ANBU over the years. Your brother was one of them. Sasuke didn't think that was all the blonde knew, but he didn't dig any further, too tired to do so. Anyways, when you get back, send the dog boy my way. Sasuke nodded and walked off. He was thankful that the blonde had done this for him. Naruto watched as the boy left and sighed, honestly, why did I do that? He muttered and looked onto the river, damn you Itachi. Later that day, Tsunade watched the previously formidable-looking Genin team eat their dinner. The old man did not want to dwell on what could possibly tire out 3 super strong kids like those but chose not to wonder. The affairs of shinobi scared him, to be honest, he just didn't admit it out loud. So how was your day, Kakashi? I smiled. The Genin here just had a long day of training. I hope my clone did a sufficient job at protecting you today? The old man nodded in confirmation. The bridge is almost done. Tsunade looked really happy when her father said that, just a few more days. A week at the longest. That's fantastic, he said, inciting more conversation at the table. Naruto just continued eating until he saw a flash of blue from the very corner of his eye. He looked at Kakashi and was relieved to see that the man did not seem to notice. Finishing up his meal, he smiled kindly. The meal was wonderful, Tsunade-san, thank you. He then looked at Kakashi. I'm going out for a bit. I'll be back before midnight. Kakashi rose a single brow but then shrugged. All right. The blonde nodded and left, leaving 3 confused genin outside far from base. We've found them, Naruto-sama. The fox spoke, but his voice seemed urgent. Naruto looked to his summon. What's wrong? And where is Volpone? The fox sighed and nodded. Volpone is currently leading the tail you asked us to lure. But it's one of the shinobi, a masked one. Naruto took a moment to think before shrugging. Lead this shinobi to me. The fox eyed his master before nodding. It shall be done, Naruto-sama. Naruto waited patiently with a smile on his face. Haku flew after the spy with all of the speed she could muster. We've been found, was the mantra she kept saying in her head. She could not allow anyone to find Zabuza, not in his current weakened state. She was relieved when she sensed the spy stop, however. Was he tired? What happened? Haku turned the corner and was confused when she saw 2 foxes, one smiling and the other sighing. It was an odd sight. Her sixth sense of danger was now ringing in her mind as she rolled to the floor, dodging a punch that left a huge dent on a tree. Good reflexes. A voice said, You're not bad, Hunter-san. Who are you? She exclaimed, only now realizing she had been led to a trap. You are the spy. Yes. The blonde said, grinning. You cannot defeat me, Hunter-san. Haku charged at high speeds and engaged him in a taijutsu exchange, only to be shocked to see the blonde keeping up with her pace for pace. I thought he was just a medic. Naruto, on the other hand, was having a good time. You're fairly quick, he said in between exchanges, but I've fought stronger enemies. Ever been to Kumo? Those guys have tough shinobi. He dodged her kicks and quickly moved behind to trap her in a full Nelson. I win. Not quite, the masked ninja said. Sensatsu Susho, 1,000 flying water needles. Naruto widened his eyes as he saw her left hand form one-handed seals. Shit! He jumped back, dodging a sudden vast of water needles. Hayatan, Ishikiri, ice release, stone cutter. 2 waves of ice suddenly launched at him. Naruto seemed surprised at this but dodged easily, and whilst in midair, he formed his own seals. Futon, Kazakiri, wind cutter. Like the ice, multiple blades of wind was launched at the masked opponent, forcing her to dodge quickly. Naruto then quickly appeared before his opponent, and engaged in taijutsu once again. Why do you insist on fighting up close? Is this the way a medic should fight? Haku said. I actually kind of like it, to be honest. Naruto smiled and dodged a high kick from the woman, before landing a small kick to her left side. Haku then started to feel more and more tired as the fight dragged. What's going on? She was also breathing more violently. What? Hey, you're not bad. This is a style of taijutsu that I developed personally. His voice was smug. Dokuken, the poison fist. He rose his hand up to her, similar to that of the tiger fist style from which she recognized, and jabbed at her mask, shattering it instantly. He then proceeded to lay a complete and utter beatdown on the formerly masked shinobi, landing a hard knee to her stomach and then multiple elbow blows to her body. Haku could barely block his incoming strikes. It did not take long for her to completely collapse. Still alive. I sure hope so. Why you poison me? She asked. Naruto chuckled. Oh no, that's just a cool name I thought of. The effects of it are just similar to being poisoned. You see, in order to become a medical shinobi, I had to learn how to convert raw chakra into electrical currents. That is basically the secret behind this style. Every time I would land a strike on you, no matter how small, I sent a small bit of electricity through your body in order to confuse your nervous system. The effects are small at first, but the longer you engage with me in taijutsu, the faster you began to slow down. Hence, the poison fist. He smiled and walked up to her. You'll find that your chakra will also feel erratic. That is also a side effect to my technique. Haku widened his eyes. Such a powerful close combat technique. She mourned. How in the world do you beat a shinobi who can heal himself and is able to fight like this in close combat? He's not regular. Now then. Naruto grinned and looked down to her. Sajin and Volpone also walked up to her, one with a smirk on its face while the other had a blank look. I have a proposition for you. A lone figure walked through a thick, misty forest, his footsteps silent as if it had been practiced for many years. He stood at a height of 5'8", relatively tall for his age of 14 years. A teen had short blonde locks of hair, sharp blue eyes and 3 very thin, almost invisible whisker-like marks upon his angled face. This teen wore a standard Shonen vest over a white shirt and dark, straight pants. His name was Uzumaki Naruto, infamous in every country except his own, although even that claim could be argued, and he was on a mission, a personal off-the-clock mission as far as he was concerned. At his fairly rapid pace, it did not take him long to locate the building his foxes had found not too long ago. He looked to the sky and sighed. It was almost midnight. He would have to send a clone back to the house to reassure Kakashi and feed him a lie, an easy enough thing to do. Kuchios no Jutsu, summoning. He channeled chakra to his left hand and struck the ground, a silent pop indicating his technique. Now standing before him was a small, silver-colored fox who had eyes as thin as a line. He was small and had a similar aura like the other 2 foxes before, except his eyes had more hints of malice within them. Jin. Naruto spoke quietly. I require your assistance tonight. The fox nodded and bowed lightly, not formal at all, but it showed respect to his summoner, Naruto. His voice was deep. It's been a while. What's up? I have come here to meet a very powerful shinobi. A man named Zabuza, one of the famed 7 shinobi swordsmen of the Bloody Mist village. You see, I currently have one of his accomplices held captive and I wish to speak to him about something. While I am doing this, I want you to find the storage around here and anything of value. He gave the fox a map, allowing his tail to take it from his hand. This should help. Volpone and Sajin marked the important spots apparently with an X. The fox briefly scanned the paper and nodded. No problem, champ. You want to meet up later? Naruto shook his head. I want you to rob this place dry. According to the other 2, they have quite the collection of valuables and cash. I want it all. Once you're finished, disperse and I'll summon you after my meeting with the shinobi. Jin nodded and smirked, a dark glint in his eyes. Sounds fun. Alright, what's in it for me, champ? Naruto mentally sighed. As much as he respected the fox in front of him, the blonde sometimes felt that the cost of his services were quite deep. But he really needed Jin on this task just in case his talks failed today. He thought it was unlikely, but it was better to be safe than sorry. The silver fox was the best of the best at what he did after all. Do I get a friendship discount? Naruto asked pathetically. Jin seemed to contemplate his words, more than Naruto hoped in the least. 15% since I'm such a nice guy today. Buy or sell? The doctor sighed. Fine, I'll buy. The hell does a fox need to do with money anyways? Jin smirked. I have children, you know. I need some valuables to let them know that daddy is the one that brings home the bacon every night, and I need to give their mommy a little incentive to take breaks from work every now and then, if you catch my drift. The fox seemed to attempt an eyebrow wiggle, which did not amuse the blonde as much as it would have had it not been such a serious situation at the moment. Naruto's left eye twitched again. What in the hell do foxes do anyway? Don't they just have sex, hunt and sleep? Honestly, he did not care to express his feelings out loud. Whatever. He sighed. Let's just get this done. The silver fox nodded and seemingly disappeared from his previous spot, leaving no trace that he'd even been there. Naruto stood up and scanned the building that was visible only from atop. There's a lot of mist today. Good thing too, that makes it so much easier to complete this task. Naruto walked silently into the mist, his breathing nearly soundless from the outside. He quickly made his way before the door, only to see 2 men guarding it. Taking advantage of the mist, Naruto silently snuck up behind them both. Man, it's so hard to see through this damn mist. One of the bandits exclaimed. I hate this bullshit. We're not getting paid enough for this. You've been complaining all day. Will you just shut up already? He had a scowl in his face. Naruto shook his head. He contemplated killing both but decided against it for now. It would be troublesome if someone found their corpses in the middle of this meeting. Naruto, showing a mastery of chakra control and stealth, walked up the wall quickly and silently, not attracting any attention whatsoever from the several guards around the area. He tried to remember what the 2 scout foxes had told him about Zabuza's location. It was on the top floor of this massive building. Soon, he found his way there. The room was now in sight. Now, all he had to do was sneak in. Of course, things aren't always that simple. Well, and who might you be? Naruto did not show it, but he was quite shocked when he heard the voice. You are very, very sneaky. But I'm the best in that field. You didn't think that just anyone could move undetected in my mist, did you? Zabuza. Don't you look healthy? Was the doctor's calm reply. The shirtless, browless man smirked behind his mask, his fierce-looking sword looking ever proud in his hand. Hello, Konoha Chunin. According to my sources, you are the medic Nin that was sent as backup to help Kakashi's little peewee squad. Now then, why are you here of all people? I figured that if they found this spot, it would be Kakashi or some other assassin, but not a medic. No, it is very rare that medics are given assassinations. Naruto smirked outwardly. Who said I was here for an assassination? I have no interest in battling today, Zabuza-san. The Jonin narrowed his eyes. Oh, the blonde nodded and reached into his vest, alerting the Jonin's seemingly built-in sense of danger. I'm not arming myself, just getting something, he muttered before taking out a scroll. Opening it, he unsealed something, or rather, someone. Haku, the masked ninja he had defeated easily not too long ago, suddenly appeared from thin air, tied up and beaten but looking fairly decent as far as being a captive goes. Taking captive of my tools now? Honestly, I'm a far more cruel man than that, Zabuza said, amused by the situation. Although I admit, this is quite underhanded for a Konoha shinobi. The blonde shrugged. I'm not most Konoha shinobi. I've come with a proposition. The Jonin rose a single brow. You want to strike a deal with me? What could you possibly offer me, Konoha Chunin? Naruto only smirked. A little bird told me of your quest to overthrow the Yondaime Mizukage. Zabuza narrowed his eyes. Go on. I want in, was all he said. I will help provide for you the means of building up a military, bases and gathering allies. He said, what I want from you is the consent that you will not attack the bridge tomorrow. Kill Gato and we can share the spoils of his fortune. What do you say? The mist shinobi took a moment to think, his face carefully blank. Naruto was also calm. Gato is the only thing hiding me from eventually getting caught from mist hunters. Why should I do this? The doctor scoffed. You really don't see the big picture, do you? The plan is for me to take over his company and I shall redirect whatever of his fortune he has towards your little war effort. All I want is 50%. That's a little bit much for a simple doctor, don't you think? The Jonin asked mockingly. Why should I do this? Why don't I just kill you now and take the entire fortune for myself? The answer is simple. You're a simple brute who only knows how to kill. Allow me to run this company from the shadows, allow me to help you win your little war. Gato is filthy rich, 50% of his fortune would allow me to retire nearly 60 years early. But that is not my goal, I have other ambitions, so you're just a greedy son of a bitch, Zabuza said bluntly. The blonde, however, looked mildly offended. I never knew my mother, but I'm sure she was a great woman, he replied, annoyed. By the way, you never denied being a simple brute with no knowledge of business, and you never denied being greedy. What does a kid like you know about business? The blonde smirked. In the eyes of my village, I'm just a doctor. I save lives and they praise me for it. People judge others by their actions in the public eye. What makes you think that just because of my age, I am without a plan? I am not like those reckless fools that Kakashi calls Genin. Trust me, you will not regret doing business with me. Zabuza looked him straight in the eye and he returned the look, unwavering. The Jonin eye smiled and chuckled. You're one interesting kid. Must be strong too if you were able to defeat Haku so easily. What is your name? You obviously know mine. Her heart is not cold enough to defeat me, he replied. I am Uzumaki Naruto. And a medic like you does? Zabuza questioned, ignoring the prodding in the back of his mind, telling him that he should know that name. Naruto scoffed. Medics are often the coldest of people, the greatest manipulators of man. When we save someone's life, they love us, they are grateful to us, but what they don't know is what we really do behind the scenes. Regular humans could not handle being a medic because there are often times when we make the decisions on whether or not someone lives or dies. We use them in order to fulfill our own need for answers, our greed. Us medics will do whatever it takes to solve a puzzle. A slight crazed look entered his eyes. I have killed men, women, children, infants and hell, even babies for the sake of knowledge, for the sake of saving other lives. Regular people look up to us because they need us. They don't know what it means to be a doctor. They could never comprehend our truth. All they see are healers, the greatest of their kind, selfless, maybe even heroic. They are wrong. Say there are 5 babies with the same, unknown disease. In 5 hours they will all die, and the disease is already spreading rapidly throughout the entire hospital, infecting other babies. You have 3 choices of treatment, and you know that as a doctor, only one will work. Will you take a gamble and give all the babies one treatment that might fail? No, true medics place 3 different babies on the different treatments, and see which one works. 2 will die, but you would have saved the others who quickly becoming infected. This is what it means to be a medic. People want to become doctors because they think that no matter what, they can find the answer, and they think that they can save everyone. The truth is you cannot. We play with lives to save lives. Did we kill 2 babies as if it were a game? Yes. Did we solve the puzzle and save lives? Yes. Will people ever see it that way if they knew the truth? No, all they will see is the failure of 2 dead babies, ignoring that fact that we saved 100 others. 1 death is a tragedy. He sighed. 1,000 deaths is a statistic, the sad truth of how the human psyche sees things. Zabuza looked at the boy for a moment. Never knew being a medic sucks so much. Not really, I get paid a lot, was his conversational reply, just giving a little insight. It really annoys me when people think that becoming a medic is so easy. The man nodded. Whatever. I care not for medics, I am a shinobi. That is exactly my point. Now, will you just accept my offer? Or will you go to battle tomorrow and allow whatever that will happen to run its course? It was silent for a few minutes, but Naruto did not back down or show weakness. The Jonin sighed after a while. Zabuza had gone through his impressions of the kid and the pros and cons of agreeing to this. In the end, Zabuza reminded himself of his ultimate goal, rather than the need to survive. You have convinced me, kid. Now then, what's the plan? Simple. I want you to kill every single employee that Gato has in this building. This is his main headquarters from here. I will be able to issue any command as I please. I will replace his employees with my own. The man nodded. I see. That will be no problem. He put his sword down. May I have my apprentice back? Naruto nodded and threw Haku over to him carelessly. Zabuza untied the girl's gag and woke her up. Eyes widened, she seemed relieved that Zabuza was okay. Zabuza-sama. That medic, he had this insane idea, this proposition. I accepted. She was shocked by that admission. But what about the hunters? Naruto stepped in. I will send out an unknown letter to Kiri stating that missing ninja Momochi Zabuza is currently wandering at the borders of Kumo. That should direct them far enough away from you guys, I hope. The man nodded. It's perfect. As long as everyone here dies, we will be in the clear and nobody will ever know of this meeting. Now the deal is done, indeed. They shook hands. I promise to deliver my end of the promise by the end of the week. You will have your army and bases, and I will have my 50% and control of this company's movements. 35 actually. He grudgingly reminded himself mentally. We have an accord, demon of the bloody mist. Good luck. The Jonin nodded and looked to his apprentice. You follow me but don't do anything. I will personally kill every single person in this building. Haku nodded shakily. Naruto watched as the two proceeded to go down to the other parts of the building. Very soon, this building would be empty and not a sound would be heard. The silent killer, Zabuza, had definitely earned his name. Kuchiyos no Jutsu, summoning. He hit his hand to the floor like before. This time, however, from the cloudy pop revealed another one of his foxes. This one, unlike the previous three, was a female creature. Her fur coat was a light, majestic purple and her eyes could be compared to that of a pink stone. Haim. Naruto spoke. I have a long-term assignment for you. The female fox nodded. Of course, Naruto-kun. By the way, it is Haim-sama. Please do not forget again. Naruto's sweat dropped. Right, of course. Sorry. Anyways, I've just bought my first company and I need you to run it in my stead. The fox's eyes lit up in excitement. Oh. So you've decided to become an entrepreneur then? I'm so proud of you, Naruto-kun. Instead of lazing around in the office all day like you used to, you've finally become proactive in your career. The blonde sighed and relayed to her the deal he made with Zabuza. Sounds like fun. But really, you should have haggled more out of him. She told him in a scolding tone. I didn't wish to push too hard and risk a fight him. He had the area advantage today. I took the safe route this time. He replied. Besides, I got what I wanted. Right. Alright, this is gonna be so much fun, Naruto-kun. She said. What do you want to do first? Might as well end this country's suffering. Once they complete the bridge, they'll be on their way to prosperity and corruption once again. I want you to focus 50% of Gato's shipping business in order to help Momochi Zabuza achieve his goals. Trust me, this will help in the long run if I'm right. I want 20% withdrawn directly and transferred over to my personal account. Make it as discreet as possible. Don't worry about time, I'm patient. The last 30%, I want to keep the money flowing. Just clean the business up. As you wish, Naruto-kun. You will be keeping the 20%? 5 actually. Naruto thought. Yes. It is more than enough. Alright. Henge, transformation. The purple fox transformed. Now, instead of a creature, she now had the visage of a woman with purple hair, glasses and enough jewels to paint her as a sort of sophisticated accountant. She stood at about Naruto's height, and a single fox earring on her left lobe. Her eyes were still pink, and she had square, unframed glasses. Gato Industries is now unofficially under your command, Naruto-kun. The blonde smiled. Don't you just love it when a plan comes together? Oh, and have our new employees reconstruct the area around here. It's too damn gloomy. Elsewhere. Zabuza-sama? What is it, Haku? The man grunted, slitting the throat of another bandit. Man, these guys are boring. Why did you accept his proposition? The younger shinobi asked. That boy, he's so powerful and the look in his eyes displays nothing but greed and insanity. You exaggerate too much. The elder man sighed. Sometimes in life, you just have cut the deal that benefits you the most. Besides, I want the Mizuki's head on a platter. I will be there soon. With real help this time. Sometime later, a few days, Kakashi sighed in relief as he watched the bridge attach onto the second island, now allowing this country more opportunities to trade with other neighboring ones and ending his team's first sea-turned-ranked mission. It was an odd week, seeing as how he had suspected Zabuza to strike at them once again after recovering from injury. He never returned at the day he predicted. In fact, that day was the same day rumors of Gato's death had begun to spread, effectively raising the morale of Wave Country. Gato had apparently passed away and the new ownership had promised to help Wave back up to their feet. A much-needed boost for the country. His Genin team were relieved that they didn't have to fight the skilled assassin again, and truthfully, so was Kakashi. It had been years since he had fought an opponent of Zabuza's skill level, and no doubt, it would have all ended badly in some way. Naruto seemed calm about the entire situation, but to be fair, he had been keeping the same facial expression the entire time since he'd arrived. That one day when he went out till midnight, returning later to say that he was investigating something he heard in the village the other day. That struck Kakashi as odd, but if the blonde didn't feel the need to tell him anything, he wouldn't force his hands. Naruto probably knew that he wouldn't question him. After all, they were friends, right? Kakashi sighed, not wanting to dwell too deep in that topic. It's not like he could have forced the blonde anyways. Mission complete. Congratulations, team. Yeah! Kiba yelled, first step to greatness. Sakura just smiled and glanced over at Sasuke, who kept a passive look. But if one looked closely, they could see a happy glint in his eyes. Kakashi still couldn't help but feel that the resident medic had something to do with all of this, but just this time, the Jonin was just relieved that this disaster of a mission was complete. The bridge was named after their team, the Seven Kings Bridge they had dubbed in the end, much to the amusement of his Genin team. Team 7 traveled back to Konoha the next day at a regular pace. Once they got back, Naruto returned to the hospital and Kakashi reported to the Hokage. Life had seemingly returned to normal. Hospital. The blonde doctor couldn't help but feel relieved after such an annoying trip. He really did dislike the climate of just about every other village other than his own, so he spent the majority of his time walking up the stairs thinking how lucky he was to be born in Konoha and not some crappy desert. When he arrived at his office, Naruto felt a presence from within. Narrowing his eyes, the blonde took out a kunai from within his vest and carefully opened the door. He narrowed his eyes, recognizing the figure before him. "What are you doing here?" The figure turned around and smiled. It was not a friendly visage at all. Naruto walked around to his desk, a large piece of majestic wood that stood out greatly between his fairly big office. He was proud of the way he kept his mountains of files organized in a counter that had numerous slots for scrolls and many other miscellaneous items, all of which were labeled alphabetically in order. Other files were arranged in terms of urgency and relevancy. His office was the epitome of professionalism. On his walls were dozens of framed accomplishments, from degrees to awards, and pictures of the blonde with many other famous doctors. He even had one with the apprentice of Tsunade of the Sannin, when they had met when Naruto himself was on vacation not too long ago. Unfortunately, he did not get to meet the Sannin herself, to his annoyance. Other than that, the walls were completely white other than the several medical charts posted upon them. As soon as he made his way around, he pulled out one of the counters and took out a single water bottle. The blonde then sat down, eyeing the figure before him cautiously. "Excuse my rudeness, honorable elder of the council. I didn't know you were coming, but I guess you council members are too good for trivial decor such as setting up a simple appointment. That much is clear," he said sarcastically. "Is there something I can do for you, Danzo-sama? Need a checkup? I'm not sure if you know this, but we do have a walk-in clinic right downstairs on the ground floor. If you need help finding it, I will happily call a nurse for you. After all, I wouldn't want you losing your way around here. Can't be too sure with the elderly, you know." He didn't stop talking. "Of course, if you need help registering for the Old Folks Take Care Center, I'll happily refer you to my colleague, Shin-san. He's especially gentle with the old and crippled." The blonde then eyed his right arm. Are you done?" The old man's voice was deep and ragged, a seasoned tone that indicated that he was not affected by a single word the blonde had said. Naruto shrugged and sipped his bottle of water very loudly for seemingly no reason. "I think you and I have much in common." "Sorry," Naruto replied. "I love women." "Young women," he replied in a dead serious tone. Danzo ignored the bard professionally. "According to my sources, you have made quite an interesting deal, no?" The blonde span around to face the large window of his office that was behind his desk, conveniently using the only cool thing he liked about his chair. "Oh, you mean my special order for the Kunoichi Gone Wild, the special 20th anniversary edition? Yes, buy one magazine, receive 10 pinky points and 2 movies at an incredible 50% off discount. Quite an excellent deal if I do say so myself. Answer me, why are you helping Momochi overthrow that fool of a Mizukage? What's in it for you? You would only be helping another country gain an edge on us. Do you see the danger in the bet you have made? What's your plot?" Naruto did not answer immediately. "I spent the majority of my day imagining what Rin-sensei looked like in a tight, skimpy nurse's outfit. He sounded irritated, and then I returned home to you, one of the Leaf's most accomplished soldiers, nearly a century past his prime, scolding me for whatever reason. It's not good for my health, you know. Answer me, Jinchuriki." "I do not answer to that title, geezer." Danzo quieted once more, but Naruto could almost feel the annoyance building in the man. He mentally patted his back for the accomplishment. "Perhaps if you had made an appointment, I would have been more cooperative. I believe I'm clear." For the blonde waved his hand around, as if showing that he was truly thinking, 10 years from now? "Think you can make it? You take me for a fool," Danzo said. "What is going to stop me from alerting the Hokage of your little side game? Who do you think you are?" "I think I have every right to buy any kind porn I want to, old man. You're helping the enemy nation with your actions. With the Yondaime Mizukage gone, the mist will once again rise under a new leadership. You know of the potential amount of bloodlines they have is staggering, even despite the purge the Terumi, Hashigaki, and I've even heard of surviving members of the Yuki clan among several so-called dead clans. They are dangerous and are still powerful. With Momochi Zabuza returning to the rebellion with allies, they will surely win." Naruto shrugged. Danzo glared at the back of the offending boy. "Why are you here?" Naruto asked in reply. I am not a secret agent. I am not your soldier. I only answer to one man. And who do you answer to exactly? Because it damn sure isn't your Hokage. Naruto didn't answer the question, rather he let the older man continue his little rant. Why not answer to me? Danzo finished. Naruto smiled and then roared with laughter, a mocking tone laced into it. The elder man only stood there, listening silently. His face was completely blank as the blonde continued to guffaw. So that was your purpose here all along? He continued to laugh. Seriously? What are you gonna do, blackmail me into working for you? You do know that I have no shame in what I've done. I killed a passable dictator, on my way to helping a rebellion overthrow a genocide artist, and I've brought a possible future ally in the mist, the bloody mist. All good, beneficial deeds, don't you think? Of course, if that's how I will twist the story if you ever brought it forth to the council. The blonde continued his monologue. It is funny because you think you are the one holding all the cards. Sure, you may know things here and there, but you have no edge on me. I care not if you reveal my status as a Jinchuriki, and I care not if you went over to IWA and declared to them that I am the son of their most infamous enemy. Danzo's gaze darkened. Fool, you take after your damned Mothra, idiot who knew nothing, is nothing and will always be nothing. A failed Jinchuriki in every aspect of the title. Too cowardly to dig deeper into its power, too weak to even survive mere birth. A woman with no use at all. Watch your filthy mouth. Naruto turned around to meet the man. Danzo did not miss the aura of the boy change as his eyes slowly began showing hints of blood red. You may be a great shinobi, but in this hospital, I am your better. So arrogant, you are nothing like when we first met. So eager to earn the love of his nation and the acknowledgement of his colleagues. Now all I see before me is the shell of a boy that had so much talent, so much power, and for what? You are not living to the potential your father has passed on to you. My power is my own. Danzo turned around and began to walk to the door. The sounds of his footsteps erased completely from the world. You are in the big leagues now, boy. I've come to warn you of one thing. If you ever bring danger to my nation, I will have you eliminated, powerful shinobi or not. One man, no, one boy's little game is not more important than an entire nation. Naruto shrugged, of course, was his only reply. He did not hear the man leave the room, despite seeing him, a testament to his skills as a veteran shinobi. He then watched as nearly 10 seconds later, another person walked in. Naruto was annoyed that said person had no sense to knock, but he supposed the door was open anyways. Naruto-sensei? It was a girl, quite older than himself but not quite past her 20s yet. She had brown hair and light blue eyes. Naruto only stared, his previously mediocre mood now soured by the last confrontation. She hesitated. Sorry, who was that? She seemed a bit shy for some reason. Naruto couldn't imagine why she would ask that sort of question. Nobody. He put false, charming grin. Now then, is there anything I can help you with? She nodded rapidly. Hi. Rin-sama said that if I were to ever see you here, I should send you over to her, she said promptly. Fine. Was all he said, standing up. I'll be there in a few. The Hokage's tower. How was he, Kakashi? The silver-haired man sighed quietly. He looked over to his leader, the Sandaime Hokage of Konoha, and spoke. In terms of performance? The old man nodded. I need to know how powerful he has become. Unfortunately then, I cannot tell you much. Once he arrived, no conflict truly arose and I didn't get to see him in action. Kakashi replied. But I can safely say that he's above Genin level. Sarutobi just sat there and scanned the man's face. Thank you for stating the greatest understatement of the century. Now I'm sure you know that you're not saying everything on your mind. You may speak, I don't bite. Kakashi sighed again, this time more openly. He's hiding something. The Hokage nodded, that much is obvious. Now what do you have in mind? Kakashi began stirring, thinking. There was this one time. The day I predicted when Zabuza would return, he left during the night. Told me that he went to investigate something he heard in town, or something along those lines. Came back past midnight. From then on, he was calm, never talked much, or even looked a bit worried about any coming confrontation. Naruto-kun is often very calm. Sarutobi replied easily, nothing short of an apocalypse will truly unhinge him, I believe. Kakashi nodded, and then continued to say what was on his mind. He beat up my genin. Silence, that's their problem. The old man replied. Kakashi nodded again. Well, that's all I have for you. Everything else is in the official report. Sighing very well. I will have to give him other assignments. No, a voice spoke up from the door. Walking in was a very tall man, taller than Kakashi by almost a head. His long white hair was like a lion's mane and he wore a very unique uniform for a shinobi, bathed in red and some white. On his forehead was a metal band that had the symbol of oil. Jiraiya of the Sannin was a very carefree man, but in this meeting, it did not show on his face. Instead, he showed a very grim look, sparking the interest of the other two tenants. Jiraiya-kun? The legendary shinobi walked up before the Hokage's desk. We can't take him away. We're going to need him for what's to come. The elder man narrowed his eyes. And what is that? Jiraiya took out a scroll and placed it on the desk, unfurling it for the Hokage to read. Orochimaru is on the move. My agent has informed me that he is planning a large-scale attack on the Villasian attack that will happen around the time of the Chunin exams here. We cannot afford to lose any good shinobi right now. Naruto is the best field medic that we have active here, next to the head herself. Jiraiya said. It was a grave silence that followed. War. All three men were veterans of it themselves. All three were seen as great heroes of war, warriors who were thought to be invincible in combat, even though it was quite the opposite. War was terrible, they all knew that and remembered the horrors of it. They lived through several different stories that have been told to children in their sleep, all three of them having been main characters in some tales actually. But it was different for them. They thought not of themselves but for the other generation, the new one who had yet experienced it. Bloodshed changed people, war destroyed people. The silver-haired Jonin remembered war as vividly as they came. After all, he had lost one of his greatest friends to it, and many other friendly colleagues. Men and women who were better than him had died in war, all forgotten by the new generation, which was the worst part of it all. Heroes are usually counted in single numbers by the masses. In Kakashi's eyes, just about everybody on the memorial stone was a hero. Damn. Kakashi sighed, this is a damned shame. They all nodded in agreement. What's the plan? Preparation for defense, of course. Was all Sarutobi said. I will be calling for a Jonin meeting. This will be the prime topic. The Hokage stood up and walked behind his chair to stare at his village, the home that he so cherished and loved more than anything else in the world. Everyone in the village, he felt as if they connected on a higher level. Sarutobi often felt that he was the protector of them all as the Hokage. Not since the Second Shinobi War had a direct attack been launched onto this village. Neighboring nations often feared attacking another village's home due to the sheer disadvantage they would have in terrain, but this time was different. A trader who knew the land, a man whose power was great enough to gather his own army, a man who did not care for the well-being of his own men was now his enemy. His student, Orochimaru of the Sannin. If Orochimaru wants war, the Hokage said, he will have it. I will soon begin reassembling our village's greatest fighting force. Kakashi widened his eyes. You mean? Jiraiya sighed, it is necessary. Suna and Iwa will be participating in the exams, aren't they? Yes. Sarutobi said they will. Will Suna turn? I cannot be sure. They could go either way, depends on what cards we play. Kakashi then spoke up. So no rookies for the exams this year? I was gonna nominate my team this year. Actually, Jiraiya replied, I think it would be a better idea if you do nominate them. If you want to, of course. If we show them that we are confident enough to nominate even our rookies, it will plant a seed of doubt in their minds. That won't even scare Orochimaru. Kakashi said with a sigh. But hey, at least I get to see my Genin in action. He was ignored. He must have another goal here, but what? Attacking the village so openly, he's no fool. Either he has an incredible weapon that can assure him complete victory, or he has an underlying motive. The Hokage observed. Jiraiya sighed, I'll look into it. And with that, he turned to leave the office. Kakashi, you are dismissed. The man nodded and left as well, leaving only Sarutobi to stare down at his village in solemn silence. Hospital. Naruto sat patiently in a room, a magazine in his hands as he waited for his current master to finish up with a client. It annoyed him really, the priorities of people who had the gall to this to him. At the moment, he'd been waiting for over an hour for seemingly no reason, and if there was one thing he truly hated, it was to be kept waiting. The blonde doctor was not a patient man, he never was, even as a child. He had tried to enter by force, only to be booted out by the hot-headed hospital head. It was all rather hypocritical. Uzumaki, Naruto. A woman called out, Rin-sama will be seeing you now. Naruto's left eye twitched in annoyance. Do I look like a patient or something? He mentally grumbled. As he walked through the double doors, the blonde came face to face with a rather beautiful woman. She had shoulder-trimmed brown hair and bright brown eyes. The woman was sitting down, looking quite relaxed despite being surrounded by several mountains of paperwork. Like most of the doctors in the hospital, she wore a long, white overcoat above her Jonin vest, and on her forehead, she wore the traditional Konoha headband. Beside her desk, an average-sized-looking purple dog slept peacefully. Sensei, Naruto said, must you treat me like some random patient? By the way, you aren't allowed to bring pets into the hospital. She looked to the animal sleep peacefully beside her leg, and smiled. Cha-chan must have snuck in again. Naruto rolled his eyes at the blatant lie. Rin then smiled kindly. And yes, otherwise, you'll just be barging into my office like you own the hospital. Can't have that attitude now, can I? Naruto just grumbled incoherently. Rin just chuckled. Anyways, I wanted to ask you one thing. Yes? I hear you've just been on a mission with Kashi. How is he? Naruto narrowed his eyes suspiciously. Look, if you want to have a sexual relationship with him, leave me out of it. I don't need to hear about his sexual escapades with my boss every time we meet up every now and then. Rin looked briefly annoyed. It's not like that, idiot. She replied. He hasn't visited me in ages. She pouted at him. That's not my problem. Hell if I know what that man does in his free time, other than the obvious thing. They both thought, reminded of the Jonin's favorite book series. Seriously, this is why you called me up here? He seemed annoyed. Go get a bird, paper and write the man a damn letter. Either way, the both of you need to get a damn room. The woman just let out an incredibly exaggerated sigh and looked at him with a hint of pity, something that annoyed him even further. Of course. I'll take your advice into serious consideration. She replied, anyways, I have something for you. She picked up a scroll from the side of her desk and threw it at him. Naruto looked open the scroll and read the details of the patient, his eyes widening as he hit the bottom. What in the— he continued reading the details as he kept unfurling the scroll. Unbelievable, he muttered, a smile on his face and a focus unlike anything ever before. I know. Get on it. He nodded and left curtly, without looking back even once. As Rin looked back down to her paperwork, a bird fell down beside her open window. She went to go pick up the message tied on its leg. Jonin meeting he. Guess I might get to catch up with the old dog after all. Later that day, the head of the hospital walked swiftly down the hallways, her white coat bellowing in her wake as she made her way to the Jonin command room. The room was huge, fit for nearly 50 Jonin, which was the approximate amount they had on their current roster, excluding A and BU members. Every shinobi village had about the same numbers in their ranks, but in the end, only 50 was the average amount of Jonin's rank. Was not easy to attain after all. One needed years of training to make it to even Chunin, let alone Jonin. Rin soon came face to face with a closed door. Quickly opening it up, she grinned as she saw several of her friends there. Nai, Gen, Asuma, Yuhi. Kurenai turned and smiled. She was a rather new Jonin that Rin had met years ago in a conference of Kunoichi. Rin. We rarely see you around nowadays, workaholic. Genma spoke up, the exact opposite of your teammate. Shirani Genma was a fairly seasoned veteran for all intent and purposes, his resume ranking him very high on the food chain in Konoha. As a former member of the Yondaime Hokage's personal guards, he along with a few others were the only people in the village who knew how to perform the famous Hiraishin technique, Flying Thunder God, the move that slew hundreds of IWA shinobi. Hey, I get out every now and then. Rin defended. Where's Kashi? Asuma rose a brow and replied, really, are you seriously asking that question? And you call yourself his teammate? Rin twitched. Why yes, I tend to ignore the more idiotic rumors of my teammate. Chances are, he's already here and is reading his book under a henge. If he's late, then it will only be for his genin. A suspicious look. Jonin suddenly coughed, making Rin smirk. It's that one. She pointed. Asuma widened his eyes. I take what I said back. The suspicious-looking Jonin sighed and unveiled himself, revealing a silver-haired man who wore his headband like eye patch. Rin Chohan. Kakashi whined, as if he were a child who had been caught in the middle of his prank. Why do you have to ruin my fun? Rin just smirked and hushed him. Quiet, Kashi. Or must I reveal to the entire Jonin roster your most terrible secret? Kakashi narrowed his lone eye. Okay. The group sweat dropped at the childish behavior being shown by the two grown shinobi. Anyways, you haven't visited me in ages. Where have you been? She said to him in a scolding tone. Kakashi tried to escape to his book, only for it to be taken away from him by the woman. Sorry, he said, my genin suck. I've been thinking of ways I could make them better, so I've been going through books to see ways I could teach them in more effective ways. If you were having trouble with taking care of a bunch of genin, then you should have come to me. Rin replied, I've trained fine shinobi. And this was true, all of her students had all gone on to become great ninja. Her first official genin squad were now all members of the ANBU, and her latest student, well, he's Uzumaki Naruto. You copied Sensei's MO, that's why. I've been trying to be original. Rin just chuckled, coming from the copy ninja, that's a laugh. And I do not copy Sensei. I've changed things here and there. Just as they were about to continue, the door opened up, revealing the Hokage and his advisors, along with another man whom many recognize as Shimura Danzo, one of the more decorated soldiers in Konoha. Turning her attention, she went on to listen to the Hokage, intent on listening to what he wished to say. Sarutobi walked up to the front of the shinobi and stared them all down. I wish to waste no time today. Koharu, will you please get on with the introduction? The old woman, another member of the Council of Shinobi, nodded. Of course. I'm sure most of you think you know why you're all here. Many of the shinobi nodded, many thinking along the lines of the Chunin exams. Kakashi seemed downcast, something that worried his teammate beside him. With Chunin exams, we have another issue that comes. Hamura, the Sandaime's other advisor, spoke. On the horizon, the traitor Orochimaru has been building an army according to reliable sources. That caused multiple gasps, especially amongst the rookie Jonin. Rin seemed calm, but as she looked to her friends, she saw Asuma sigh, Genma shake his head, and Kurenai widen her eyes, seemingly contemplating the news altogether. And according to Jiraiya's information, Sarutobi showed them the scroll said man bad brought. He is planning to strike during the third stage of the Chunin exams, when we plan to invite the other Kage to watch the tournament we usually have. There was slight whispering in the room. This did not bother the Hokage at all. The warning of war often caused panic, even in the greatest shinobi. After all, we must prepare accordingly. Danzo spoke up. What is your plan? There are various angles we can plan from. I wish to consult our chief strategist. He nodded towards Nara Shikaku. I've told Shikaku-san about this earlier. You may speak. Nara Shikaku was definitely not what many people would see as chief strategist material. On the outside, he seemed very lazy and unmotivated to do any work, but what most people didn't know was the sharp mind he held. The Nara clan was famous for their usage of shadow techniques, but Shikaka was especially known for his keen intellect. He wore a Jonin vest and long black pants, the standard attire. "Thank you, Hokage-sama." His usual lazy voice had a hardened tone, commanding the audience's attention. "I believe it is best that we plan an immediate counter-attack in conjunction with a preemptive attack. This way, the battle if this conflict escalates that far will turn to our favor. As long as we command the tempo of battle, we will win." Danzo backed him up. "My thoughts exactly. As well, I think Orochimaru has another purpose here." "What is it?" "I cannot know for sure, so I have asked Jiraiya to update me on that front, so I wish for you all to keep a watch out for suspicious activity. I also asked you all to prepare accordingly." Sarutobi said. "Rin-san, how is the current state of the hospital and the medical ninja corps?" "We are prepared for any type of conflict, sir. As long as we are able to evacuate the wards before any battle begins, then all of the medic nin under my command will be free to back up the fighting force without setback," she replied curtly. Sarutobi nodded before looking towards the group once again. "There is one last announcement I would like to make," he said, and the shinobi listened on. "This must not be mentioned to any Chunin, Genin and below." Sarutobi started. "As of today, I will be reforming the XANBU division, Lotus." That caused several widening of the eyes throughout the veteran shinobi. "Seriously?" Genma asked. "Damn, I guess it's all or nothing." "That will be all," he said. "Certain members of you will be receiving notes of recruitment. The ANBU are currently being briefed by their commander on this. A Lotus will return. We will follow up this meeting soon with another update. So I asked you all to please prepare yourselves for the worst. Genin need not know yet, but train them with vigor." The Jonin then began to file out. Rin grabbed Kakashi and walked out quickly, her eyes ablazed. War was just weeks away after all. "Hospital. Tell me." Naruto smiled widely as he sat down, his eyes completely focused on the person before him. "I just want to know." Said figure looked quite terrified after all. The doctor that was attending her was smiling like a creep. His eyes had a look in them that were quite unfamiliar. "Really, I have to know." "How do you do it?" Naruto said, eyeing the girl in front. She had red hair and an unknown headband on her forehead. Well, according to him anyways. If she had stood, Naruto estimated that the girl would have been shorter than him by maybe 4 inches. "I don't know. She had been found outside the village and brought here, seemingly injured. When the doctors found her, she had numerous bite marks on her left arm, something that alarmed the doctors at first when they couldn't cure it. Further testing showed that her arm was a source of a special chakra, a chakra they had never seen before. All the testing doctors knew was the effect of this chakra as they extracted it. They had found great healing properties. Powerful healing properties. How? This ability has been lost for years. The last known to have this sort of talent were the Uzumaki of Yuzushiogakure. And they're all pretty much dead," Naruto said. "What is your name?" The red-headed girl looked at him. "Karen, I think." "And where are you from?" Naruto prodded. "I need a history. If you want me to heal these marks, I will need it." She didn't answer for a while but finally sighed. "I don't know." Naruto just stared, and then he smiled, a weird glint in his eyes now. Whether it was passion or insanity, the girl could not identify it. "This is interesting." Rin sighed as she took another sip of her favorite after-work drink, a nice swig of warm sake. At the moment, she sat at a rather tame shinobi-exclusive bar, the barkeeper being an ex-shinobi himself who retired after the Second Shinobi War. She was grateful for being able to retreat here after a long, tiring day at work, and sometimes, the barkeeper would listen to her day's troubles. That was not necessary today, however, now that she was able to be with her few friends. Kakashi sat next to her right, also taking drinks every now and then and for once, not bringing out his book to annoy people with. Kurenai and Asuma sat side by side, something that amused Rin to no end. The two were quite an intimate pair, and that was a fairly interesting. She always enjoyed watching her friends banter with one another. It was cute in her opinion. The veteran medic had a funny feeling that their relationship would escalate soon, but not too early though. She couldn't wait until she was able to officially tease them about being too intimate. Genma, another one of her friends who sat at their little table, spoke up. "Word on the street is, the rookies are pretty good this year," he said. "Any of you putting them into the exams?" Kurenai, Asuma and Kakashi shared a brief look. "Possibly." "The upcoming thing," Asuma said vaguely, not wanting to risk a Chunin or Genin overhearing, "has me worried. I don't know if I should, they might be caught off guard." "I was going to though. Jiraiya-sama told me that perhaps it was a better idea if we did elect them in." "Of course," he said, "to only do so if we believe that they were ready. I am sending in my squad. They'll have trouble, but overall, they should pass the test." Kurenai cringed. "I'm not so sure about my kids. They are talented but very undisciplined. I do not think they can make it very far if I enter them at this stage. Hinata needs more confidence. Shino is not able to communicate that well with the team, and Yakumo." She trailed off, a deep frown on her face. "She isn't getting along very well with her teammates." "What happened?" Rin spoke up. "A team that doesn't work well together isn't a team at all." She lost control of her powers again. The red-eyed woman said, "Yakumo has genjutsu powers unlike anything I've ever seen before. The ability to make some of her illusions into a reality is something we all want, but it's a power that is far from her current control. when she tried to cast a regular genjutsu, making Shino think he was on fire, but then her powers took over. It did not end well for either of them. They all nodded. So the Aburame got burnt to a crisp then? Genma said. Must have been a sad day for his mental status. He was stuck in the hospital for a week with terrible burn injuries, so he thinks. His entire colony of bugs were eliminated in a flash according to the genjutsu's power. The woman confirmed. Bad day. A power like that is hard to control and is fairly hard to counter. Kakashi said self-control is a difficult practice when you have an evil entity in your body. From official records, the Ito of the Kurama clan is said to be a very manipulative monster. Ito? Genma asked. I've heard about it, and how it's involved with the Kurama clan. Not sure what it is though. Basically an evil, uncontrollable part of her mindenly once in a generation. Will any Kurama ever see the evil of it though? Everyone has one. Yakumo's is just more sentient and demonic. Had to get Jiraiya-sama to seal the damn thing to get it under control so she could even live. Rin then smiled, catching Kurenai off guard. I can ask Naruto to help train her if you want. I cannot think of anyone else that can help her tame an inner evil. Kurenai looked a bit hopeful at that, but her hope was halted when Kakashi sighed. Rin, Naruto doesn't have the patience nor discipline to help someone do that. If you haven't already noticed, he hates wasting his time with things he doesn't care about. Maybe you're right, but I'll ask him anyway. She replied, not wanting to let her friend down. I'll ask him when he's done with his current case. Damn kid's been locked up in the hospital for days ever since I gave him his new assignment. Anyways, how about your kids, Asuma? Genma said. Kakashi seemed confident in his little troopers. Any insight on the next generation Ino Shikacho trio? I heard they were pretty good back in the academy, well, except the Nara. Lazy. Was all Asuma said. Talented but unmotivated and lazy, kind of like Kurenai's kids. Shikamaru is actually pretty brilliant for the runner-up. Dead last kid's IQ is literally through the roof. Ino has potential but spends so much time fawning over the Uchiha and Shuji. Well, he's on the same boat as Shikamaru minus the super IQ part. Other than that, they are very, very talented in short bursts. Man, Rin muttered, it must suck to train kids like that. All of my genin were all high energy. They knew how to put work day in and day out. Guess I just got lucky then. They all looked at her with a sort of annoyance. Rin never failed to boast about her students. For years, she would talk on and on about how proud she was of her ability to train excellent and top-of-the-line ninja. Of course, it wasn't a bad thing to do at all. Rin just loved to shove it in their faces from time to time. After all, how many people got to say they trained one of the top medical prodigies in the world? You got lucky. Kakashi muttered, having great students doesn't make you a great teacher. With Naruto's Lin, Rin slapped the man's face, a look of warning in her eyes. Kakashi sighed, linked talents in multiple fields. Of course he was bound to become a great shinobi. He is an amazing medic, fixed me up when I got this bad wound on my chest. Genma sighed, kind of an asshole though. No offense, Rin. She just laughed it off. Don't worry about it. The woman replied, her mood now solemn though. He's just had a hard time these past few years. Kid used to be so happy and carefree, but ever since that incident with his team, he's been down. We all go through it, but a kid with his kind of passion and commitment, he takes it harder than anyone else, not to mention the stress of being a medic nin. He used to work a lot more than he does now, though that's probably why he transferred to the diagnostics division. Good pay, low work and a lot of time to do nothing. Where was he before? Kurenai asked. Rin took another sip of sake before speaking. He was the ace of the medic nin combat division, the top guy, and if he were older with more experience, Kid would have been the head of the branch. But you know, not many people would have wanted to take orders from an 11-year-old. They were all a bit surprised by the admission. Naruto was a great medic nin. He had a silver tongue, always able to manipulate patients and enemies into telling him what we needed to know, not to mention, he always had phenomenal combat abilities. Ever fought him up close? I suggest you don't unless you're a taijutsu specialist. Why? Asuma asked. That such a young kid could be so powerful. Medics usually keep their distance in a fight. Well, like you, Asuma, his affinity is wind. That surprised the Jonin. He developed a taijutsu that only medics of his caliber could truly master. His form, however, is based off one of the bases of Silet, or whatever he called it. She waved that part off, her knowledge of taijutsu quite limited to guys' crazed, passionate lectures of said subject. So what does it do? Genma asked. Does it hurt? Rin just smiled mysteriously. Eventually, yeah. His close-quarter fighting style will eventually destroy you if you aren't careful. I eventually gave up trying to spar with him up close and personal. He can also battle from a distance with a multitude of wind ninjutsu. The kid is not an average shinobi, that's all I can tell you. Sounds tough. Asuma said. Maybe I'll ask for a spar. Kakashi just shook his head. Like I said before, he doesn't like to waste his time anymore. Had you asked maybe 3 or 4 years ago, you might have gotten an enthusiastic yes and maybe a chance to beat him. The bearded Jonin twitched. Hey, I'm pretty experienced. Kakashi just waved his hand back and forth and chuckled, his eyes closed indicating he was just joking. But really, he's tough. If he keeps getting better at this pace, he could be Hokage in only half a decade. Rin finished. So Kurenai continued, What happened to him that made him an asshole, as Genma kindly put it? Kakashi and Rin sighed, sharing a look. It's not our story to tell. Rin said, don't worry about it. The past is in the past, and he'll recover from it one day. Anyways, let's move on to another subject. Hopefully one more cheerful. Right. Asuma said, I'm entering my kids in the exams, so yeah. Making bets here and now. They all sweat dropped. Didn't you just say that you weren't confident in them? And did you just make that decision on a whim? Karina asked. Of course not. I just said they're lazy. Doesn't mean that I wasn't going to let them miss the chance to become Chunin. Wording, my dear, wording. I'm entering my kids, so yeah, I'm taking that bet. Kakashi said, you're going down, you know? Karina sighed. I'll have to take a rain check. I'm going to need a few days to evaluate my students before making a decision. Rin just smirked. Well, hello my youthful friends. They all shut up in that moment, almost afraid to turn around to see the man behind them. Rin finally gathered up the courage only to be blinded by green and the light shining from the man's smiling visage. Hey guy. Rin said cheerfully, how are you? Why, I am doing great, Rin-chan. The powers of youth has ignited my very soul today, but alas, my team has just returned from a long sea rank, so we cannot return to training today. I pity his genin. Kakashi thought to himself. Oh, are you entering them in the Chunin exams this year, guy? The man smiled brightly, so bright that it nearly lit up the bar. Yes. I held them out last year, but I believe they are now ready for the challenge as of now. Really? Asuma uttered out, how about a little bet? I think my genin could take on yours. Rin stood up from her seat and put her hand on the bearded Jounin's forehead. Everyone watched with bewilderment as her hands glowed green. He's not drunk, so why is he so stupid? She muttered, causing the man to twitch. Hey, they're talented. I believe in them. Asuma defended. Rin rolled her eyes. Guy's team is powerful and experienced for their age. They would annihilate any of their opponents. Rin said, looking at Guy. You've trained them well. Haven't seen any of your kids in the hospital in a while, so I suppose they've been well. They have. Thank you for your concern, Rin-chan. Lee has missed your care. He replied, perhaps you could come by and visit them. Tenten has admired you for a long time. Rin waved him off. Sorry, Guy, we're gonna get busy soon. She frowned. You weren't here for the meeting the other day. I know. His usual enthused voice now toned down. I was told once I reported to Hokage-sama. I think almost every Jounin knows now. Will you be alerting Naruto-kun? She shook her head. Even if I could, it's not like he'd care. As far as he's concerned, it'll only be another troublesome thing to worry about, and I don't want to put any more on his plate. Guy frowned. You should tell him just in case. He's a fine shinobi. It's better if he's properly prepared. Kakashi then spoke up quietly. The Chunin and Genin will be alerted in time. After our preparations are set, we cannot afford to lose the element of surprise. He's right. Genma followed up. Besides, if Naruto is as good as you all claim, he'll figure it out anyways. They all shrugged. Anyways. Kurenai sighed, having long been removed from the conversation. I'm tired. You joining us? Indeed. Guy's enthusiasm returned. Let us have a youthful time. Kakashi grumbled to himself, and then took out his book. He liked Guy, but the man could seriously be such an annoyance at times, not to mention, he kept flirting with Rin. It was very disturbing. Hospital. Naruto-sama. A little blue fox spoke, climbing into the window of the high office. You've returned already, Sajin. What do you have for me? And where is Volpone? Naruto grinned as he looked up from his research papers. The boy had an entire different look than before. The fox noticed, and called him out on it with a grin. It wasn't often when he would see his boss in complete business mode. Glasses on, Naruto-sama? Must be a good case. Naruto just sighed and pushed up the said rectangle-shaped, unframed glasses to his eyes as it had been slipping off his face. Some of these files have small letters anyways. What do you have? Sajin, sorry. Anyways, I got what you wanted and in record time. The fox carried a scroll with his tail. Jumping up to his master's desk, he neatly dropped it off before his eyes. I'll tell you, boss, getting into Yuzushiogakure was hard as hell. So many damn whirlpools everywhere, and the bridge was messed up. It looked ready to collapse in seconds. Naruto nodded. Yes, I remember my short field training trip to Yuzu with Rin-sensei. It was a disaster. He replied. I didn't get the opportunity to truly check up on every artifact there, including the medical records. Hopefully, they were in good condition. The fox nodded. They were fine. It was hard to find the right files, but I eventually got it from some really hidden tiles at the hospital. These are reports on specific branches of the former Uzumaki clan and the various individuals who had the ability to literally transfer their own chakra to heal someone without side effects. Even back then, it was rare. That's the weird thing. Naruto muttered. The without side effects line you side. If that was the case, then why does Karen have bite marks on her arms? Why does it have to hurt her in order for this transfer of energy? She's a natural sensor according to my last evaluation session with her as well. Her chakra control must be fantastic. The fox shrugged. I don't know anything about the human body, Naruto-sama, don't ask me. The doctor rolled his eyes. I was talking to myself. Anyways, you didn't answer my other question. Where is Volpone? Sajin shook his head, Akira-sama wanted a word with him. That was all Naruto needed to know. For almost half a decade, Naruto had held the Fox contract in his possession, and in that time, there always one iron rule that he knew that applied to all of the clan. And it was simple: always answer to the boss Samukira of the Moon, the Black Fox, the killer. The fox went by several names if the blonde remembered correctly. Naruto had met him only a few times in his life, but it was only for formalities mostly. The blonde was not too interested in meeting the Black Fox, had never been in a situation when he had to summon the boss in battle. Of course, he replied, matters not. Thank you, Sajin. He acknowledged him before looking back to his research. No problem. The fox was about to leave until he suddenly remembered something. Oh wait. I forgot, apparently your village is preparing for war. Sajin said, his eyes serious. I overheard some Jonin talking about it by the gates. They were quiet, but well, I'm a sneaky fox. Naruto had no reaction to the news. His eyes were still down on the papers scattered on his desk, his face without a single hint of worry or surprise. Sajin's sweat dropped. No reaction? The Hokage and that old fool, Danzo, will handle such affairs. When I am called upon, I will do my duty as commanded by my superior officer. I'm guessing that I'm not supposed to know since I've yet to be informed. It doesn't matter right now. Wartime updates are usually regulated by Jonin, so, whatever. The blonde muttered, his eyes scanning the newly brought information. Interesting, he muttered as he continued to unfurl the scroll. Whatever floats your boat, Naruto-sama. And with a pop, the fox disappeared, leaving the blonde to his study. As soon as the fox left, though, the young blonde doctor let out a loud sigh and placed both of his palms to his forehead, feeling terrible, a headache coming in as he took in the latest information. War. I guess it was only a matter of time, and elsewhere in Konoha, Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura and Inuzuka Kiba were currently waiting for their ever-late sensei, annoyed by their teacher's tardiness issues. Just as Kiba looked like he was going to erupt into a temper, a poof of smoke appeared from behind him. You're late again, damn it. Kiba and Sakura yelled, what do you have to say for yourself? Here, was all he said, gently placing 3 pieces of paper into their hands. Sasuke quirked a brow as he read the title of the paper. Chunin entrance exam? He uttered, nice. Awesome. Kiba exclaimed along with Sakura, their former sour mood completely erased. You guys are good enough to get in, and I think you have a decent chance if you stuck together like I taught you. They all nodded. Good luck and be careful, all of you. Take the next few days to train. The exams will begin soon. I have things to attend to for the next few days, so if you need a trainer, stop by the academy for tips. Never forget, the teachers there will always help. Kurenai watched as her genin trained with a watchful eye. She was careful to examine every bit of their talents carefully. She didn't have to enter them into the exams, but she had a gut feeling, a weird feeling inside of her told her abandon those doubtful thoughts of failure. The kunoichi was usually a more level-headed woman, often going by the book when it came to running a team and being in one. But as she watched her genin, she felt that there was something special about them. They had an air about them that spoke clutch, and it was this gut feeling that kept telling her to enter them into the exams, that entering them will do her team good despite the high risks. She was torn with the decision. Throughout her entire career, she had taught herself to not do things on an impulse, to not run off into a situation recklessly, and look at her now. She was one of the youngest Jonin in the village and a master at her craft. But when she looked at her friend, Rin, she thought otherwise. She went through her life with a different type of air of confidence, one of risks and gambles. She often challenged authority in order to better her village from the inside. She did not go by the book 100% of the time and often took risks in order to gain status. Kurenai admired the woman above all others, even Tsunade of the Sannin, and it was in that moment of revelation did she make her decision. No doubt in her mind, she would always remember the feelings she had today for years to come. The scare of the gamble she was about to take, it was a bittersweet feeling. Team! She commanded up front. The 3 lined up before her orderly. She eyed the first one, Aburaim Shino. He was fairly tall for his age, standing at 5 foot clean. The boy wore a huge collared coat that covered his face and shades like the typical Aburaim. Next to him was a girl who was shorter, standing at 4'5". She wore a light red shirt with a protective chain built in and black pants. Kurama Yakumo had long brown hair and light brown hair. Like the Aburaim, her face was completely apathetic and clean of emotion. Kurenai mentally sighed. The girl had come a long way from when they first met. All those years ago, when Yakumo was still a young child and her parents had been killed, she had a weak body and nearly fell to a terrible depression. Kurenai nearly accepted to train her as a child, had it not been cancelled at the last moment by the Hokage. That was the last time Kurenai had seen her until the academy. The Jonin didn't know what happened to her from then, but when she was old enough to enter the academy, the girl seemed much better in terms of physique and overall health. She was now confident and determined despite being fairly antisocial. The girl did not have many friends. Kurenai had yet to ask her of what happened but figured she could wait until later when their relationship improved. Hyuga Hinata stood at 4'4", barely under the brunette beside her. She wore a modest sweater and black pants. Unlike many of her clan, she was rather shy and hesitant to show her immense talent. Kurenai knew she had talent. It would be foolish for anyone to miss it. The Jonin didn't know why she was so shy but was determined to help her with that issue. I have an announcement to make. I will be entering you for the Chunin exams. The reactions did not vary much. Kumo and Shino barely made a sound whilst Hinata widened her eyes, fear glinting in them. Now I have a strict training program that will prepare you for this. I expect nothing less than your absolute best. Hi! Sarutobi Asuma looked at the 3 genin before him and sighed. What did I drink last night? He kept thinking to himself as he watched Ino launch into a one-sided shouting match at her lazy teammates. Guys! Come on, we have to get this done. I don't want to lose to Forehead. She yelled out, only eliciting a troublesome from Shikamaru and a nod from Chuji. Nara Shikamaru had his hair tied in a sort of ponytail, shaped like an odd pineapple if Asuma was honest enough. He wore black pants and a simple zip-up coat over a chain shirt. Sometimes, Asuma could not believe the kid had actually passed the academy with his extreme lack of motivation. Akimichi Chuji was like him but more responsive to direct orders. He wore a scarf and the standard shinobi clothing in his face were marks that most of his clan had. A war paint-like look was what they called it, suiting for front-line fighters like them, Asuma supposed. Yamanaka Ino was a young blonde girl who wore a purple top and bandages around her stomach. To guard her stomach and skin from damage was the only guess Asuma could make out for their purposes. Genin! He spoke aloud, come here. I'm really doing this. This is really dangerous, but I keep thinking, they can do this. They are good. Maybe if I put them in a serious situation, they'll flip the switch like I see them do so often on tough C-rank missions. Yeah, I hope so. I'm putting you guys in the upcoming Chunin exams. Shikamaru sighed loudly, troublesome. Ino did not even bother to scold him. We've only been genin for what, 6 months? Why, Asuma-sensei? Not that I'm ungrateful, of course. Chuji just kept munching on chips. Asuma replied, I believe you guys can do this. Besides, your classmates will be in as well. Checkmate. Asuma thought smugly, and with the face Shikamaru had just made, he agreed. Ino had began ranting on about not falling behind her rivals and colleagues. It made Asuma wonder, how could such a competitive girl be so unmotivated? Maybe he really was a bad teacher. Perhaps he'd ask his father advice later. It was essential. Hospital. Next day, Naruto walked down the hallways with a small smirk on his face whilst carrying several pieces of papers in a manila-looking folder. He had a sort of spring in his step as he found his way walking towards the room of his newest patient. At first, he found her quite an odd girl who had seemingly lost her memories, something that was not too uncommon, unfortunately. She had several talents, and he wondered where she had came from, in terms of place of birth. It took the doctor a day or so, but his research had come through. So the Uzumaki are alive. There is one under my care. He had an excited feeling about the coming days, despite the bad news he had received earlier. He should have known that the girl was an Uzumaki. After all, they were famous for their red hair. But the blonde wanted to be completely sure and research other factors that contributed to her arm. Why only her arms, though? According to these files, she should have the ability to channel and transfer purified chakra. Does she lack the knowledge to do so? There have been a few reports stating that having intimate contact, like biting, would extract the chakra as well, but it is so uncommon, not to mention those wounds should be able to heal regularly. Why not her? He had come up with a hypothesis, and was now walking to her room to test it out. Finally arriving, he opened the doors and was shocked to see that she was not alone. Who the hell are you? Naruto said clearly, back straight as he looked up to the other person. The person was a teen boy who didn't look too much older than him, to be honest. He had silver hair, wore round glasses and the standard trainee medic gear. Naruto sneered. Genin? Out. My patient must be attended to. Naruto-senpai. He said, my apologies. I merely wish to examine the patient. By the way, my name is… I don't give a damn what your name is. Out. I especially asked for this case. He lied smoothly, and also, I am your superior in this hospital. Only nurses that I have cleared can check up on her, is that understood? Oh, of course, sir. The glasses-wearing guy nodded shakily. Sorry, sir. Naruto only glared and waited for him to leave the room. As he did so, Naruto sighed in annoyance and looked back to the girl. The blonde took one look at her and mentally frowned. She seems different. What has changed since yesterday? Did he do anything to you? He asked curtly, receiving only a shake of the head from the red-headed girl. Naruto was now wary. She didn't verbally express that denial. She was rather talkative the other day. Naruto then began to the standard diagnostic techniques on her, scanning her body with the green hand of his medical technique. She hasn't changed physically, so what's this sense of danger I keep feeling? The blonde didn't know how to think, so he pulled up a chair and began his routine. I have been doing various research on your special ability. Tell me, you really have no idea of the family or clan you came from? No, sir. She felt uncomfortable saying that to a almost 15-year-old doctor. It was an odd sight, but everyone around here seemed to take it in stride. My earliest memories were of being raised in a village known as Kusugakure, the Hidden Grass Village. I am a shinobi of there and got lost when my team was ambushed by a bunch of missing ninja. I had to flee. She said in a rehearsed tone, and the blonde caught it immediately. I don't know how I ended up here. She had no idea what happened to her the other day. Could she have regained her memories? Sounded like a half-lie, half-truth wording to me, Naruto thought calmly. I can hear her heart beating quickly like she wants to get away with something. Perhaps I should bring a Biki in here. No, I cannot be too sure. I need to know what's wrong with her abilities. This is too interesting and it could help my personal research. Sir, can I go? Naruto was dumbfounded by the question. What? What do you mean? I'm feeling better now and I can move properly. So there is no need for me to be here, she said timidly. Naruto narrowed his eyes, anger making its way in. You are injured. I cannot allow a patient of mine to leave in your condition. Give me a few days and I can figure this all out, but that's not your decision. I'm fine. Really? Naruto looked like he wanted to explode with anger, scaring his patient with the glint in his eyes. I won't let you leave, he said in a deathly calm voice. You are not healed. Like I said. I'm fine. I can walk, run, quiet. I know you're here for the Chunin exam, so I might as well heal your injuries. Will your teammates be coming soon? He asked. If so, I'll have someone send a missive to your village, confirming your safety. She nodded but hesitantly. I guess. Naruto then smiled. Excellent. Now then, let's get some work done. The blonde was not aware of the presence outside his door, however. The boy with round glasses from before stood silently and listened in with his enhanced genetically improved hearing. His control was good enough to hide it from the young, talented blonde doctor inside the room. So that is the medical prodigy, Uzumaki Naruto. The teenage-looking medic thought, a smirk suddenly coming to his face. Orochimaru-sama will be very interested in this one. And with that, he walked away with no one the wiser. Yakushi Kabuto did not make a single sound as he went to go meet up with his leader in secret. Do you understand your mission? Failure will not be acceptable. A man shrouded in darkness spoke calmly, his back turned from another figure who was kneeling in complete submission. He was sitting, his chair turned away to face the window, and was seemingly gazing upon the night. There were no stars in the night, only complete darkness, and it saddened him. His view was not pleasant. The kneeling figure responded curtly. Hi, Konoha, flashback, time 0200. A lone boy watched the red-colored light on the wall of the emergency room in solemn silence, his eyes filled with anxiety and anticipation among other things that he felt in his body. He did not like the feeling of being forced to sit outside, useless and powerless to help them on the inside. For the past several hours, there were many things going through his mind, many scenarios he had replayed over and over again until his head started to burst in frustration. Are you all right? A voice spoke up next to him. The boy cursed mentally. He couldn't believe he had allowed someone to sneak up on him while lost in the fury of his thoughts. That was a dumb question. I'm sorry. What do you want, Kakashi? The boy's voice was broken. He could barely look up to the silver-haired man beside him. Don't you have missing ninja to hunt down or something? Maybe even a mission to go help a rebellion overthrow a dictator? Or hell, don't you ANBU operatives participate in the honorable job of protecting our Hokage? Why are you here? Hardly as important as coming here to check up on you. The tall Jonin was then silent for a moment after the opening comment, as if contemplating what he was going to say after that. It's difficult, I understand. The blonde did not answer. His gaze was still piercing the door to surgery. Naruto. Kakashi spoke, his voice laced with sadness and grief for his friend and, in a way, his little brother. The boy had been the son of his sensei after all. The two had been close throughout his entire life. Ever since Naruto could walk and talk, Kakashi was always there as a brother and a friend, always supporting him. Kakashi could see the grief in his eyes and his heart. It's all right. He tried to reassure him. All right? Naruto responded quietly, but the Jonin could hear the pain it held, the grief he was currently suppressing. Standing outside powerless to help, that may be alright with you, but it's definitely not alright with me. Flashback and hospital, 2200. There was a modest knock on the door. Naruto opened a single eye and realized he had been asleep for the first time today since yesterday, something he'd been doing often for multiple reasons. Sighing, he looked up to the clock in his office to check the time of day. It was already evening, the sun had long fallen and the night had risen along with the village lights. Who is it? He said tiredly. Read the sign on the door. I don't take appointments after 9. Go away. Well, since you don't have any appointments right now, a female voice said with an amused tone, causing the resident blonde to sigh and roll his eyes. The door opened and he was once again face to face with his master and friend, Rin-sensei. Don't you usually go home at this time of day? Naruto asked calmly. It's unusual that you are up at this time, Rin observed her student openly. The boy looked tired beyond reason, his white coat off and on the side of his desk and Chunin vest undone, also seemed to be sweating fairly bad. How funny coming from you, Mr. I work from 9 to 5. She replied cheekily. Warm in here? Naruto nodded, a slight scowl in his face. Humid. I hate it. Reminds me of Kiri and Yuzu. You always hated humid nights when you were a kid. Need help sleeping? The blonde quirked a single brow. Are you suggesting I take sleeping pills? He asked. The girl then chuckled. No, but I can hook you up with one of my girlfriends. She's pretty cutie if you catch my drift. Naruto's sweat dropped and had no reply. What was up with his friends and sexual innuendos? Oh, I was just teasing. Rin then settled for a more serious topic. How's the case? Reaching to the side of his desk, Naruto pulled out a single folder and offered it to his boss. From what I've discovered in these recent days, I believe she has genetic modifications done to her body, probably internally. This is the reason why our standard healing routine has had little effect on her when she was first checked in here. The standard ER medics aren't well versed in identifying these types of abnormalities. There is some kind of leech inside of her that is living off of her chakra. I'm scheduling a surgery tomorrow to see if we can find it. He finished with a yawn. Rin scanned the folder. It could be a seal, she suggested. The blonde shrugged. It could be. I am no seal's master, and I have no desire to learn the art anytime soon. Jiraiya-sama is coming soon. You might need a consult. Perhaps it is best to wait for him to arrive. Naruto scoffed, as if he would take time off of his busy schedule to come by the hospital and actually help others. Rin only sighed and shook her head. He's your godfather, you know. Jiraiya-sama may be busy often, but he does drop by when he can. Whatever. The man can do as he wishes. Naruto stood up from his desk slowly and carefully stretched out his muscles. Anyways, is there anything else you need? I think I've been away from home long enough. 2 more things, she said. I was wondering if you were interested in training a genin named Kurama Kumo. The doctor only looked at her with a deadpan expression. I don't know whether to feel amused or insulted. Amused that you would even bother me with this, and insulted that you wouldn't already know the answer to the question. It's like you don't know me at all, he explained with a slight scowl. I guess I can settle for both. I don't ask much of you, Naruto, Rin replied, but please think on it. Kurenai, who is her sensei at the moment, doesn't know how to deal with her weight. Are you aware of the Kurama clan's curse? The blonde nodded yes. Once in every generation, a child with terrible power will be born, and with it comes an entity of evil. Some bullshit along those lines, right? Now that I think about it, I do have some advice. She perked up at that. Tell her sensei to grow a brain. The best way to defeat an enemy is to confront it. She gave him an exasperated look. The Edo is a very dangerous demon, Naruto. She cannot just confront it like any regular enemy. It may overtake her and do who knows what to her psyche. The risks are just too much. No risk, no reward? Naruto chuckled. One does not simply dodge their inner beasts. Rin only shook her head. Just think about it. Anyways, I have to get going now. Be sure to get home tonight. You've been working pretty hard this past week. Well, I guess this is acceptable. You usually do very minimal work. I guess this change of pace is good for you. This is the best case diagnostics has gotten in a while. And with that, she turned and left. Naruto rose a brow. What's with people accusing me of being lazy? I work from 9 to 5 just like everybody else. It was only mere minutes after did he finally leave his office to go home. Hospital roof. A single silver-haired figure sat, seemingly alone upon the highest point of the hospital's rooftop, the moon's ray of light illuminating the part of the place where he did not appear in. He was silent and calm like the several ANBU who were hidden throughout the village. The man looked to no particular direction as he gazed at his village. Sometimes he would turn around to face the stone carving of the Hokages, specifically the 4th head, the man who was his master and mentor. A reel for your thoughts? Kakashi turned around, facing one of his few long-time best friends who stood perfectly balanced on a pole. He smiled and talked. Rinchan, what brings you here this beautiful evening? The brunette rolled her eyes. I should be asking you that. This is my hospital after all. I work here. What about you? Kakashi shrugged. Nothing much. It's a nice night. Naruto would disagree. She said in an amused tone, he hates the humidity. He hates a lot of things. Kakashi quipped with his own roll of the eyes. Humidity, shouldn't take it too personally. Personally, I love it. It reminds me of when I went to Sea Country. Sea Country? A vacation? She asked carefully. Rin never recalled her friend having ever going to that place on his off time. In fact, she never recalled Kakashi going anywhere if he did somehow get any off time. Being a shinobi was a difficult occupation after all. They worked long and sometimes, even random hours depending on the missions they accepted. No, it was a classified S-rank assassination mission. But still, I like the weather. Right. She deadpanned. Of course, good times. So, how are the preparations going? Hokage-sama has been asking for daily updates of anything suspicious, and well, most bad things happen at night anyways. I'm having the majority of the staff secretly prepare tunnels leading to the safe zone. So when the battle comes, they can be evacuated almost immediately. She replied, it's gonna be a tough battle. Never thought I'd live to see the day this village is directly attacked by another nation. Me neither. Kakashi said, it's unfortunate but life just sucks I guess. She mentally agreed and sighed. For several moments from then, they just stayed in companionable silence and stared off into the village, taking in its whole with their single gaze. It was not an uncomfortable silence, the feeling of nostalgia fitting more than any other if Kakashi had thought about it. Just like old times, huh? The 3 of us just standing around and doing nothing, Rin said with a sad smile. Kakashi just chuckled, yeah, waiting for the 4th member. His voice had a leak up unveiled grief. She turned around slightly to gaze upon the stone face of her late master and friend. I never liked the way they carved his face. He looks too serious. Minato-sensei was always more laid back and gentle. They made him look like a sort of intimidating figure on this wall. That's kind of the point, you know. To the foreign nations, Sensei was revered as one of the greatest shinobi to ever grace the land. In IWA, they called him a demon. Kakashi replied. True, they may have called him that over there, but here, he was just a man, a leader, a hero, a teacher, a husband, and a father. She trailed off with a sigh. A good man. That's the world we live in. Unlucky and cruel. Kakashi replied bitterly. If I had it my way, this eye, he touched the headband that covered his famous Sharingan, would be where it belonged. Rin just looked at him with a saddened visage. Seemingly out of the nowhere, an explosion rocked the side of the village. The reaction was massive. A terrible tremor could be felt all the way from their location. Widening their eyes, the two shinobi immediately leapt off the high roof and landed smoothly on another building. They then began roof hopping towards the explosion. What the was that? Rin exclaimed loudly. Are they attacking already? No, it can't be. Jiraiya-sama was sure the first strike would happen during the exams, which is whole a week from now. Kakashi said. Wait, that's coming from Naruto's house. Shocked, Rin began to speed up. No, who would unless they know his? She asked herself silently. No, that's impossible. The secret has been kept for years. Now of all times? Catching on to her thought process, Kakashi disagreed. We're dealing with Orochimaru here. He knows the secret and certainly, he'll do anything for an edge. He's the only one who could let out the leak. Damn. She muttered angrily, speeding up to the direction of her student's house. Damn that snake. Moments earlier, Naruto's residence. Naruto slowly walked down the empty street, tired from his continuous tenure of work in the hospital office. He tiredly approached his home with more than a few yawns. It was a rather modest one-layer building that had no special design or color, just a simple veil of white and a blue roof, all of this complete with a simple yard and miniature garden on the outside of it. Overall, it was just like any other house. As the blonde gripped the doorway handle, he seemed to pause for a split second before opening the door. The inside of his house, like the outside, was very much clean-cut. The walls and floor were made of a rich, light brown wood. It was stainless and smooth. The floor had no sharp breaks or cracks at all. The living room, however, had a plethora of different things. On the side, next to a window, was a large piano with a pot of sake on its top, looking rather untouched. He also had 4 couches and a single, large coffee table on the other side of the room. Naruto walked to the kitchen and opened one of many cabinets only to narrow his eyes as he looked at the arrangement. Can't believe I ran out of beef ramen, he muttered to himself, an irritated tone in his voice. Need to pick up some, getting tired of chicken every night. The blonde sighed and took out a bowl, milk, and settled for cereal at night. As this was happening, an invisible and silent figure approached him from behind, only given up by a small shadow that he created. Sneaking up behind the blonde, the figure drew a dagger and struck at the doctor without mercy in his stroke. This was all in vain as the target disappeared. The figure widened his eyes and jumped back only to hear a mocking laughter far to his side. Next time, leave the ramen alone. Naruto laughed. I can only guess what you've been doing around my house. But really, how dare you touch my supply of ramen? I ordered it all the way from Sea Country. Do you have any idea how expensive those are? My entire stock probably has more value than your house. Die. The assassin roared in anger. Doton, Iwa no Kajeki, rock attack. Punch his arms in the direction of the blonde. He launched several sharpened rocks to strike at him, also coming from the ground. Naruto grinned and dodged the attack smoothly and zigzagged right into the opponent's inner space. The blonde punched him hard in the ribs but widened his eyes as the assassin didn't seem affected in the least bit. The man responded with a sharp kick, and although the blonde Konoha Chunin managed to block the hit, it launched him back and through his kitchen wall, into his living room. What kind of armor was that? It was like punching a rock, Naruto uttered, quickly regaining his balance. Ah man, my wall is gone. Doton Namyogasoku, armor of earth. The assassin said aloud, revealing the rock-hard armor covering the majority of his body, except his face. You should be more tight-lipped on your abilities, Uzumaki Naruto. Of course, it is no surprise. A child like you is often prone to boasting their weaknesses. He sneered at the doctor. I only do that so people would leave me alone. A good show of intimidation is good to strike out into the enemy, Naruto responded. Of course, the consequences can be dealt with. If I know that you know my specialty, then I can counter effectively. In other words, you are the fool for letting me know that you know my techniques. Not that I need anything new, you have several openings I can take advantage of. He smiled. Knowledge is important, but it matters little when I outclass you in every single aspect as a shinobi. The assassin twitched in annoyance. Damn you, bastard. He held his dagger and began swiping at him. Although he was not wild, the man was not completely refined in his art. Dodging the attacks with a smile, Naruto moved with a grace that was unlike his current opponent, who was bold and rough. Seeing a wide swing, Naruto ducked the attack and landed an electrically charged uppercut to the assassin. Taking advantage of the man's temporary paralysis, Naruto pulled back his left arm and gathered chakra into his palms. Rasengan, spiraling sphere. A swirling ball of pure chakra formed in his hands. He landed the ball of condensed chakra into the opponent's stomach, piercing, shredding through the armor of earth with absolute ease. The attack launched him back into the wall, knocking him out cold. The assassin began spitting blood violently from his mouth. Just because you know how to minimize my attacks doesn't mean I can't hit from an angle. You must be one of those weaker assassins that nobody cares about. He mocked lightly, and that was when it hit him. Wait, maybe you really are someone nobody cares about. Shit! He ran to the knocked out shinobi, and on his way, his peripheral vision caught sight of an ill-placed explosive note. Oh shit. And it was a few seconds later did his house explode into fire. Outside, Naruto! Rin exclaimed, landing at the spot of the explosion. Naruto! Where are you? Kakashi closed his eyes. I smell his scent everywhere, but where is he though? He muttered, watching as several shinobi landed in the area, all of them looking wary. Though he did catch sight of several amusing things, one such as Asuma's pajamas and Kurenai who landed right next to him, both looking severely annoyed and cautious. What the hell is going on here? A loud female voice yelled. Kakashi recognized said person to be one Mitarashi Anko, the former student of the legendary shinobi, Orochimaru. Like many of the other shinobi in the area, she had the aura of caution and annoyance. I felt it all the way from home. What happened here? Another Jonin, Rado, spoke. He wore shades at night for some odd reason and a simple shirt and pants. Isn't this Naruto's place? Wonder if he's alright. Genma spoke up. Where's the enemy? A Chunin exclaimed. Who's attacking? Rin, ignoring all of the newcomers, rushed right into the house and began moving the damage around. The amount of dust was large, and it was truly hard to see into the building. Where are you? She muttered, I know you're not dead. As if hearing her, from the yard a single hand popped out of the ground, followed by a body alerting every shinobi in the area. He was completely covered in dirt and earth, his blonde hair now roughed up with minerals from being underground. Kakashi sighed in relief as he saw the young teen arise from the ground. Naruto, what happened here? Are you alright? Alright? Naruto exclaimed, his eyes burning with unadulterated rage. In his arms, he held the unconscious assassin by the neck. Someone blew up my house, god damn it. My piano, my ramen, my files, my home and all of my equipment. All gone. Glad to see that you care about yourself, Rin said, hugging him from behind. I was worried for a moment there. Thank goodness you're safe, she uttered softly. Naruto sighed and threw the assassin onto the ground. An assassin was here waiting for me. Bastard rigged my house with explosives as a last resort, it seems. A few of the shinobi gasped. He looked towards Anko and eyed the downed figure. I believe this is your job? Like him, she was annoyed. I'll take of him, damn explosion ruined my night. She angrily gripped the figure by his hair. Oh Ibiki, and I will tear this guy a new asshole for pulling this shit. She then disappeared in a shunshin. Naruto sighed. What the hell was that all about? He asked himself. That was annoying, he probably poisoned my ramen too, that bastard. Kakashi just chuckled. I'm just glad that you're okay. Come on, you can stay at my place. He looked to Asuma. Can you let your dad know to send a clean-up crew here? The Jonin nodded. I will, he drawled, after I get some damn clothes on. Are those monkeys? Kurenai asked, looking at said man's pajamas and grinned. Asuma blushed and coughed. I'm going. Everyone watched, amused, as Asuma quickly left to avoid any more embarrassment. The Hokage looked at the assassin with a glare. Anger coursed through his veins as he thought of this man's actions. Of course, it was natural that he felt anger to anyone that attacked his village. Who is he, Ibiki? The third asked. What is his motive? He can't speak. The scarred Jonin replied. When Naruto captured him, all he had was standard shinobi equipment, no ID, no headband, we have no idea who he is. The moment he woke up, the fool tried to bite his tongue. He probably figures it's over and tried to commit suicide. Thankfully, we had a medic on standby for these cases. A Yamanaka will be coming soon to acquire his mission through mental invasion. The elder man nodded. Good. Don't let him die until you find his reason for visit. And with that, the old man walked off. Who is this man? Could it be? Report. A shaky figure kneeled before his boss, H. The mission was a failure. Uzumaki Naruto still lives. Tomasan has been captured. Silence. That was a sound that the kneeling figure certainly did not like to hear, as he did not know what to expect from his superior. Punishment was easier to determine from a rant, but silence meant anything, and that was what struck fear into him. IWA shinobi were usually very strict on failures, and his boss did not like to hear it. It projected a visage of weakness, something the man loathed more than anything in the world. I see, was all the mystery figure said. Tell me, why did you return then? Jounin were flying in from everywhere, sir. I had no chan, was the last thing he said before a giant cube fell on him, knocking him out. How dare you? The figure stepped out with a dangerous snarl on his face. At first glance, the man did not seem intimidating at all. That was until they would figure out that his short stature meant absolutely nothing when it came to battles, not to mention he was flying as if nothing seemed more natural to him. You abandoned your teammate after failing the mission as well? How dare you return a failure and a coward? He signaled the ANBU inside his office to take the down man away. Get this coward to the hospital. Wash his memories of anything shinobi as soon as his wounds are done. Closing doesn't deserve to be a shinobi in my forces. Hi, Tsukage-sama. The short man walked back to his desk, his once neutral mood now foul. Uzumaki Naruto no, Namikaze Naruto. Your father's sins will be the end of you. IWA had been running low on funds ever since they lost the war all those years ago. His village had suffered in production. They had garnered a terrible reputation from then on, and his village, his people were suffering for it. At the moment, only Kumo could match Konoha in power. Kiri had the potential to do so as well, but they were still in the midst of civil war. Suna was a joke as far as the short man was concerned. They were only difficult to defeat on their own turf from what he remembered back during the war. I guess I have no choice. The old man thought, Orochimaru, I'll take his offer and then I'll kill him myself. Naruto sat gloomily inside the Hokage's office, facing the headman himself with a look that screamed frustration and annoyance. The old man couldn't exactly blame him for his mood. After all, he had been on the wrong side of an assassination for the first time in his memory, something that no sane person would particularly enjoy. Assassination attempts on high-profile shinobi were definitely nothing new to the Hokage, but to the blonde doctor, it was different. He was still a rather young man, and had lived in a relatively peaceful era, complete contrast to the life Hiruzen lived. I understand that you're angry, Hiruzen said, rubbing his temples, but we need to discuss your security. Naruto scoffed, no offense, Hokage-sama, but I don't require any security, seeing as how the assassin managed to get past the ANBU stationed in my neighborhood so easily. What I require is compensation for my home and damaged goods. I had years of research and files in that house. It will take months to get all of it back if ever. I see, was the old man's reply. Unfortunately, that will have to wait a bit. The village budget is still under review and it will take some time to calculate how much we can send to you. Damn. Naruto muttered, I lost all of my stuff. Oh my poor piano. I'm really sorry, Naruto-kun. But on the bright side, you're still rich. He deadpanned. Naruto shrugged, now seriously, we need to talk about your security. It seems someone is after you. The blonde just waved it off, probably some asshole who wanted my bounty, no big deal. Naruto-kun, you don't have a bounty. Those are only for missing ninja who betrayed their villages. If you're talking about the underworld bounty, I assure you don't have much. Hiruzen replied with a sweat drop. What? He narrowed his eyes. I remember some guy saying he was going to take my head back to Kumo or something. The Hokage sighed and began rubbing his temples again. I'm pretty sure they wanted to take your head back to Kumo so they could study your brain to see how it functions or something like that. Said person who said that he would take your head to Kumo is probably ignorant to the fact that the third Raikage is dead and the fourth is not the same power-hungry individual. With you being a known prodigy, they probably also think you had an advanced mind. Also, you're an Uzumaki. Kumo has always been known to be interested in that clan for some reason. The Uzumaki were said to be descendants of the Sage of Six Paths. Naruto did not respond for a whole second. Damn, the Hokage rolled his eyes, getting back on topic again. He glared at the blonde who grinned sheepishly. We don't think that it was a random mercenary that attacked you. Did you crack the guy? Naruto asked. I sure hope you sicked Ibiki on his sorry ass. Bastard's gonna pay for blowing up my house. Unfortunately, the Yamanaka clan has found nothing conclusive. His mind was seal-rigged. The blonde facepalmed when he heard that. When a mind was seal-rigged, that meant his assassin was given a sink or swim assignment. If the shinobi were to be captured, then he would die or live life a vegetable due to the technique. Entering a rigged mind was a difficult task, if not straight up impossible. One mistake could cause the mind to completely melt and destroy any information in the shinobi's head. It was not a pleasant sight. I see. So then, what's on your mind? It must be serious if you had to get an entire platoon of ANBU to surround the place. Seriously, why doesn't he apply for Jonin already? The skill is certainly there, the Hokage mentally accessed. The boy had more skill in his pinky than most shinobi did in their entire bodies. It was a terrifying thing to watch him do nothing with his potential sometimes. Indeed. I believe that you have been targeted by one of the 5 major villages, the Wagakure. Ridiculous. Naruto replied, seemingly shocked. I've done nothing to IWA. They have no reason to go after. He trailed off as his eyes caught a certain light. Following his brief moment of distraction, he came to face with the portrait of his father. Even smiling, the 4th Hokage seemed to radiate an image of intimidation. Naruto didn't know if it was because he knew of the history behind the man's legendary butchering of IWA, or if his father really was just that awesome. I see, Naruto said, scratching his chin. How many people could have told them? Orochimaru knew for sure and could have let out the leak, was the reply. But let's face it, you look just like him. The 3rd Hokage said, eyeing the portrait momentarily. They will not stop until you are dead. They will take your head and put it on a pike to display in their village. The blonde nodded. I understand, but I still don't need security. I can take of myself just fine, thank you. Naruto-kun, I can spare an entire platoon of ANBU just for your protection detail. Don't be so foolish in this decision, please. The old man insisted. One of the 5 great villages is after your head, just you. They were then silent for several moments. The Hokage's face was grim and desperate. The blonde's was calm and calculative. His cold eyes seemed to be searching for an answer, a way to calm his surrogate grandfather of sorts. Sighing, Naruto began soothing his head with his fingers like he had a sudden ache. As he spoke, if you insist on a security detail, then I want an entire platoon at the hospital from the time I work to the time I leave. They are not to interrupt me when I work. But I will not have them follow me everywhere in town. I can take care of myself. The old man seemed appeased, although he was not happy. Besides, I'm staying at Kakashi's place. It's not like anything bad can happen there. Very well, was the tired answer. I will get it done. Naruto nodded. Is there anything else? The old man shook his head. Well, I have to get back to work. By your leave. Dismissed. Elsewhere. So we have a deal? Kukukukukuhihi. Sickening laughter rang in the small cave these two figures stood in. Excellent. Now, it shall be 1-on-3. You managed to get Tsunade to cooperate? An old, gruff voice replied. I wonder how you got that to work out. That fool, Kinso, is as stubborn as a mule when it comes to allying with others. I just wish I could see old Sarutobi's face when he finds out that Tsunade has betrayed his precious village. Ryotenda no Inoki stood. His was back crooked and stiff, as he faced the much taller man. Said man had waist-length dark hair and malicious, slitted yellow eyes. His skin was pale, whiter than the paper people use day by day. His attire consisted of gray garbs and black pants with a purple bow-like belt tied on his waist backwards. Orochimaru of the Sannin smiled, his visage deceptively kind and friendly. When my plans come to fruition, you will be there to see it, I assure you. I look forward to seeing what you have in mind. I'm also impressed that you managed to gather your own army so quickly. It's been what, almost 12 years since your defection from Konoha? How did you gain power so quickly? Inoki asked. Of course, the more important question is, do you have quality shinobi under your command? I'd be rather annoyed if you gathered an army full of chumps. Kukuku, don't worry about my shinobi, Inoki. I have assembled a fine army. The Sannin smirked. I will be bringing 2 of my very best generals to battle, along with 4 of my other elite shinobi. That's it. You speak as if you have other powerful shinobi. If you are holding out on your full power, then why should I help you? I'm not a big enough fool to bring out 100% of my forces into one strike. Chances are Konoha will repel our initial attack and then we will be forced to flee. The elder shinobi raised a brow. Then why would you attack if you are willing to admit such a thing? Do the lives of your men mean nothing to you? Because the pale man smirked. The ultimate goal of this plan is to assassinate the Hokage and to launch a powerful preemptive attack that will lower their morale in the long term. No doubt, Konoha will find a way to overcome our initial strike. He sighed. This will not be a short war, Inoki. Despite the loss of the Uchiha clan all those years ago, they are still the greatest of the 5. If they could survive the Kyuubi's rampage all those years ago, then this will hardly be a challenge to overcome, I suppose, Inoki said. But it will still be a wonderful chance to annihilate them once and for all. If everything goes perfectly, then yes, Konoha will be wiped from the face of this world. Orochimaru said, but with their power, I doubt that our elites can match theirs. If Jiraiya appears, then we will have trouble. As much as I hate to admit it, my old friend is rather formidable these days. They also have other powerful shinobi as well, said the Kage, Sharingan Kakashi and the White Witch Rin among them if I remember correctly. Oh, you old fool, you have no idea just how powerful they all are, Orochimaru thought with a mental frown. We'll be in trouble if the old man manages to call in Tsunade, as if they didn't already have enough powerful medics. Indeed, the pale man replied. Now then, I must ask, what are you going to do about Kumo? The short man scratched his chin speculatively. The Yondaime is not as big a warmonger as his father was, I believe. I've heard rumors that he actually wants to make peace with Konoha. The disgust was clear in his tone. He must be as stupid as he looks. I'm unsure of how to approach him at the time being. Orochimaru admitted. I was hoping he would stay neutral during the affair, but it looks like we've no choice but to come up with a contingency plan for him. Any rough ideas? The Sannin frowned slightly, but as if a light bulb lit up in his mind, it slowly curled up into a grin. I have a few, but first, I must evaluate his resolve. Elsewhere, the exam starts soon. Naruto pretended not to care about her exam. Quiet, you just got out of surgery, you shouldn't be speaking yet, didn't waste energy. Karen sighed and only shook her head as she laid back into her soft bed. The doctor had been working non-stop on her arms to see if he could cure it. It resulted in her thinking he almost seemed obsessed with her. It's not that she wasn't touched by the gesture, in fact, she was awed by his dedication and passion for the art of medicine. Will I be good to go before tomorrow then? Naruto sighed in exasperation. It's important. It's not just about me, you know me, teammates will be disqualified if I don't show up. We have to meet up tomorrow to discuss strategy and stuff. Naruto scoffed, as if they had any idea what the exams were about anyways. If they care more about passing a stupid Chunin exams more than your health, then they're trash. He replied conversationally, true teammates should be like family, they take care of one another, as if they were related by blood. I didn't think someone like you would be some compassionate, you know, they say that you are always so cold to others. She quipped, why do I see a different side? Someone said that about me? He scowled, was it Shin? Gah, I knew he didn't like me. She giggled at his response, making him grin slightly himself. Anyways, Karen carefully positioned her glasses. Will I be ready for tomorrow? You're so annoying, he started to say, only to stop as she gave him a sharp look. If I cannot figure it out by tomorrow morning, then we will discharge you, he sighed softly. I'll forward my notes and research to your doctor at Kusa when the time comes. If I had it my way, I would have you stay here for the duration of the exam until I can fix your arm. But according to foreign policy, I cannot force you to miss an exam unless it's an immediate life-threatening injury. She narrowed her eyes. You wouldn't purposely give me a life-threatening injury to force me to stay here, would you? Naruto didn't answer for several long moments. His face seemed conflicted and amused at the same time. She widened her eyes and was about to exclaim something but was stopped when the blonde elicited a chuckle. I wouldn't do that, he replied. Too many skilled ANBU around here. She sweat dropped at his seemingly honest response. Right. They then sat in silence for several moments, until the doctor began talking again. Go to sleep. I'll be back tonight to try more things, and that'll be the last time you will have to see me if I cannot find out what's wrong with you. You'd better hope your doctor had Kusa is good, because this could be anything. Can you put me to sleep, sensei? She asked. I've been sleeping a lot lately, it's hard to do so on my own. The blonde rolled his eyes. Fine. He formed 2 hand seals and then placed his palms on her forehead. Naira no Jutsu, sleep technique. Karen began to get drowsy and yawned. Before you go, are you really my family? That's what people have been saying around here, you know. Something about you only being so obsessed with my case because you might have found a long-lost relative. Your name is Uzumaki, right? He nodded. So am I? She asked. Her voice was softer than any time the doctor had remembered. Naruto's face was calm. You are definitely an Uzumaki, and yes, we are relatives, was his only reply as she fell asleep. With that, he then stalked quietly out of the room and went on to continue his week-long research. The next day, in the end, Naruto failed to beat the time limit he was given by his superior. Karen had been let go the very next morning to go meet up with her team, who insisted that she leave, seeing as how she could perform actively. The blonde doctor did not show up for the official discharge of the girl, much to her gloom. Rin found herself walking up to her student's office with a strange and intimidating apathetic look on her face. No nurse dared stand in her way as she marched swiftly and silently to his door. When she arrived, Rin immediately spoke with a tone of annoyance. You're an idiot. Naruto looked up and narrowed his eyes at her, tilting his head slightly back down. She completely ignored the game board he was currently sharing with a blue fox, something that was not entirely an odd sight to her. Put the game away, we have to talk. Sajin looked to his boss. I think she's mad at you. He stage whispered comically. What did you do? I believe Naruto-sama has done nothing, Volpone said with his usual insightful tone, which is most likely the problem. Let's go, Sajin. I'm not in the mood to watch Naruto-sama get torn apart by the scary woman. And with that, the red fox disappeared in a wisp of smoke, followed by his partner, who had been chuckling for a few seconds. What the hell, sensei? I was winning for the first time in years, he exclaimed. It's hard to beat a fox at Kitsune Scramble. Shut up. Why didn't you go to see her off? She asked, scratching her head slightly. This might be the last time you ever get to meet another Uzumaki. Naruto scoffed. TCH, I don't want to see the result of my failures, sensei. I failed to cure her, and I can't even chop her arm off secretly to force her to stay here. Ignoring that last, repulsive sentence, Rin sighed. I know that this case meant a lot to you. I knew that it would interest you, not just medically but emotionally. You didn't think that I would recognize her shade of red hair? Kushina-sama had the exact same color. I gave you this case so you could attach yourself with another member of your family, not to run away at the last moment. Naruto growled slightly but said nothing, allowing his master to continue. This case was extraordinarily difficult, and the time limit I gave you was unfair. I realize that. But this is about more than just her condition. She was your family, for goodness sake. You didn't see the look on her face when you didn't even show up to say goodbye. Karen was hurt. I thought the poor girl was gonna cry her eyes out. She ranted on. Do you know what she must feel like right now? Perhaps the only other member of her family didn't even care enough to show up to say a small bye. Nice to meet you. No, you didn't even give her that respect. Naruto did not answer. Do you even care anymore, Naruto? Rin asked, a hint of repressed sorrow in her voice. When you were 9, I told you about your family, and how much I loved and respected them as if they were my own parents. When you were 4, the time you disappeared from the orphanage and we couldn't find you, you have no idea just how terrified I was when the Hokage told me. Her voice cracked slightly. I was part of the search team to find you along with Kashi. We spent months looking for any sign of you. Konoha is a huge village, you could have been anywhere. She continued on, and then you were found a couple years later. I was so relieved to hear it. I cried so much that day. I promised myself that I wouldn't let you go like that again. I told myself that I wouldn't let you down like that ever again, so when I told you stories of your family, I found myself wanting to find your family just as much as you did. I begged the Hokage and the council to make you my apprentice so I could teach you everything I know. It was against protocol because you were supposed to become a part of another squad, but we worked it all out. Everything went perfectly for a long time after that. But it all changed that night, didn't it? She almost didn't realize that the moist in her eyes were rising quickly. Rin rubbed her eyes. When Naomi was killed. Enough, don't speak that name. Naruto suddenly said. No. We have to talk about this. I've left you to your own devices for nearly 3 years now, and you've changed for the worse, I'm afraid. It was my mistake to think that you could handle the grief alone, when you insisted that we drop the topic. I should have forced you to talk about it all those years ago. After all, one does not simply dodge their inner beasts, right? Quiet! He snapped angrily. How dare you turn my own words against me? I've had enough of this. He looked to stand up and leave but was stopped when he felt his body suddenly seize and stop. You're using this technique just to spew a stupid lecture. He spat. Let me go. Naruto growled, struggling to break out. I won't. She gritted out, filled with conviction. Not until you tell me just what happened that night. I know you loved her as the sister you've always wanted, needed. Now just unload your grief. No, I can stay here all day. Rin said. Not until you talk to me, student. Naruto rolled his eyes. Fine. I think you're a damn psychopath who insists on creating techniques to stop bodily functions. Now let go of me. You used to be so nice to me, you know. She replied cheekily, always so grateful for each lesson given, always so proactive with your training. Now look at you, a shadow of your former self. You may have become stronger over the years, something that happens naturally seeing as how you age, but you are far too inexperienced to break out of this technique. Powerful medic or not, this technique has won me many battles. It is also the reason why you're still single. He quipped. Ignoring him, she continued. I also happen to know that you never break your one rule because that's the only way you'll be able to escape this. I'm considering it. Naruto admitted. This is uncomfortable. Tough. Now then talk. Naruto didn't answer for a long time after that. After 15 minutes, he just gave up his futile struggle, knowing the only way to break her technique was to use the Kyuubi's chakra. Rin just continued to give him gaze that he hated with all his heart, one of fierce compassion and affection. It reminded him of Naomi, and how she would always give him those exact same eyes that were now dead and buried beneath the earth. Rin couldn't understand why he hated those looks, and at the moment, he didn't think anyone could. After all, whenever he looked into the mirror to see himself, the blonde only saw and knew one thing: disgust. I can't, he finally said, closing his eyes. I just can't. Wake up, Kurama. The blonde mentally thought. Naruto, please just leave. I can't say anything, I can't. He began to mutter. You don't see it, you don't see what I see these days, sensei. I don't want their damn pity. That never bothered you before. Rin replied. You told me you've long forgiven the village for their idiocy. We're talking about something else. I don't give a rat's ass about that shit. The younger doctor gritted out. You all see me as a young prodigy, the next great medic who lost his closest friend to the rampage of Uchiha Itachi. They know nothing. Then tell me just what the hell your problem is. Was all she said, Naruto. Before she could continue, the blonde opened his eyes and showed a stifling change in them. She widened her eyes slightly at the sight of his blood-red eyes. Why, you're actually using. Forcing his hands out, as if he were encased by a very tight rope, Naruto easily broke out of his teacher's paralysis. Rin was too shocked to even respond, frozen by his casual use of the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto stood up and looked at her in the eye. In them was an emotion she could not identify because all she could see was the facade of hatred and grief in his face. But the odd thing was, it was not for her. Sorry, was all he said as he walked past her. Kumo, Reikage-sama! Reikage-sama! A screeching voice exclaimed urgently. She bursted through his large doors, interrupting a meeting he had been having with 2 of his other shinobi. Again. A young blonde woman spoke. We are always interrupted by something. The last time, it was the daimyo's pet alligator marching in on us. Another man, sitting to the right of the Reikage, laughed very loudly. Oh yeah, I remember that. Damn thing was so damn fought. He tried to make the rhyme work, only to be shot down a second later. Terrible as always, B. You should try Enka. She quipped. You suck at rapping, so perhaps it is best that you change the direction of your musical career. You need to just stop hating and stick to the Matty. Shut up, B. The Reikage said as he began rubbing his temples, trying to soothe the oncoming headache. Looking to his secretary, he nodded. What's the problem? As someone has arrived and he has demanded to speak to you. She stuttered. Our shinobi are acting quite hostile. The Reikage sighed. If it's the daimyo's wife, could you tell her that I'm not here right now? It's not her, sir. It's before she could answer, the door behind her opened up once again. Walking in was a man that I only knew by name and face, followed by 2 other shinobi who radiated a powerful aura. To the man's right was a rather young, white-haired teenager with vivid green eyes. He looked as pale as his master, and wore white garbs and a purple-like bow around his waist. To the man's left was a woman with violet hair tied in a spiked ponytail and fair skin. She wore red lipstick and had dark eyes. Like her master, she also wore a purple bow-like belt around her waist along with green dress. The Reikage's previous calm demeanor was forgotten and was now replaced by a serious one. The blonde woman next to him followed his example, her once serene mood now soured when she saw the man who walked in. Killer beyond. Hello, Reikage-san. Did not answer for a while. He nodded to his secretary. Get the hell out of here. She nodded quickly and left. I'm not in a good mood right now. The Reikage said. Why don't you go die in a pit somewhere in the desert? Orochimaru of the Sannin. The two bodyguards narrowed their eyes. Smiled when he saw how easily both his bodyguards were angered by his small declaration. How crude, the pale man replied with false hurt. I just wanted to meet with you. That's all, really? Then take a number and wait like every other shinobi who wants a shot at me. What the hell makes you think you're so special? Orochimaru chuckled. It is urgent. I came here with a proposition. Narrowed his eyes. This coming Chunin exams, I have conspired with other villages to finally destroy Konoha. After his declaration, the room was silent, until one of the men broke it. Hey man, I think this dude really is a frail as he looks. Probably spent his teenage years ignoring girls and reading books, B said, stroking his chin as if he had just said something wiser than anything else. How dare you? One of Orochimaru's guards, the woman, exclaimed lightly. No, how dare you and your master come marching in declaring war on another village? The blonde woman cut her off. It's completely rude and unethical. Yujitoe wanted to palm his face badly at the two eccentric Jinchuriki next to him. That's not the point here. Right, of course, she said, her face still apathetic. Orochimaru had to fight back a sweat drop. Anyways, I wanted to offer you an alliance between our villages. With our combined might, we will be able to completely wipe Konoha from the face of this planet. Join us in our quest, Raika. No. The answer was so sudden and filled with so much conviction that Orochimaru almost lost his initial composure. You're not even going to think about it? But think of the shut up man or else I'll kick you can. Killer Bee exclaimed, only to sigh a second after. Man, even I knew that was bad. How sad. Yujito scoffed. We're not going to play your little games, Orochimaru Baka. If you want to attack Konoha, you'll have to deal with whatever we decide to do when it happens. The Sannin's guard spat out a reply. We came this far just to offer you a wonderful proposition to destroy your only rival in terms of power, and you're turning us down so easily. Enough, Girin. Orochimaru calmed her down. She nodded, almost looking depressed at being scolded. She had to ignore the annoying whipping motions Killer Bee was making at her. I understand, Reikage-san. But I believe you will have to deal with any consequences of the aftermath of this war. Narrowed his eyes. You seem to misunderstand something, he said. Yujito then smirked. You come here unannounced and you expect us to just let you go. Don't you realize who you're talking to? The sheer amount of money and infamy we'll receive for taking out Konoha's soon-to-be greatest traitor will be quite beautiful. You should have had a better plan, Pale, Snake Man. Bee also said. Prepare to get an ass-whooping of the ages. I'm gonna come at you like when a mad bull enrages. We're leaving. The Sannin immediately exclaimed, his eyes widening, but was too late as the Reikage had already moved and punched a hole into his stomach, moving at lightning speeds no one caught. Yujito had a single dagger drawn and had lopped off the purple woman's head in an instant, and Bee turned the other guard's upper body into several pieces of flesh, having drawn 3 of his 7 swords. Of course, they were not too surprised when the corpses turned to ashes and revealed 3 other bodies in their place. Orochimaru's turned into a child, and the guards had 2 bodies of recognizable missing shinobi. Disgusting a spat. He walked to the door and opened it up to yell outside, get a clean-up crew here. I don't know this technique. So they managed to use other bodies to impersonate them? Yujito scowled. How filthy. What a freaky weirdo. I wouldn't be surprised if he spent his off time playing with a D. Shut up, Bee. Smacked him upside the head. I need to send a missive to Konoha. He sighed out. Will you tell them? The Reikage nodded. That's good. I don't want to be in Konoha knowing it will be invaded. After all, the gossip would kill me. Twitched as he watched the 2 Jinchuriki continue to banter once again in his office. Really, what did he do to deserve 2 of the most annoying people to be made into a Jinchuriki? Be a part of his village? I should give you both the Iron Claw. IWA, those 2 idiots, they are late as always. Anoki muttered as he put another stamp on his paperwork. His granddaughter and grandson were now both watching him with amused looks on their faces. The reason for their amusement was the chair he was sitting in. It was almost an exact copy of the type of chairs restaurants would give babies, thin and tall for the purpose of height management. It was a good thing his desk was so big and eye-catching, otherwise, it would be rather embarrassing being him every day. Oh, don't worry, I'm sure they're just a little late from an assignment, old man. A teenage said. They do tend to overdo simple missions. You're one to talk, sis. I recall you nearly killing an entire village just to flush out a single target. That mission was only C rank 2. The bigger boy said, annoyed when he saw her shrug nonchalantly. He was fairly plump for his size and had bug cheeks. He also did not radiate the killing aura his grandfather did. The girl, however, was very different. Kuratsuchi, the granddaughter of Anoki, was known throughout her village and her country as an efficient killer and shinobi. Wherever she went, she was known by name and face. Listed as B rank in the bingo book in just about every country in the world, she went by the moniker Kira. It was just one village, Akatsuchi. She shrugged. It's not like there was anyone important in that boring place, like Yuki. Despite that she was an absolute monster as a person, the girl acted like a fairly regular person at home. But as a shinobi, it was an entirely different story. Youngsters and their media these days. Anoki mumbled to himself, back in my day, when the sage of 6th paths still lived. She cracked. The old leader glared at her, but she was not affected in the least bit, a smirk on her face. What? It's a compliment. Kuratsuchi said in a cheeky tone, her eyes closed as she grinned. Oh, you have such a sensitive skin, old man. If you can't take a small joke like that, then maybe you should retire and give me the hat just for being so soft. She spoke as if it were inevitable. Anoki twitched. I'm still 100 times better than you, granddaughter. The dark-haired girl pouted. He ignored her. You are one of the more competent shinobi on the force, but you have much to learn. But you're old. I have to carry you home half the time. She pouted cutely. Please, can I have the hat? She put her hands together and gave him puppy dog eyes. Twitching again, Anoki turned away, knowing he didn't stand a chance against that technique. Smirking when she saw that he looked away, Kuratsuchi folded her arms and shined as if she had won another battle. Akatsuchi, however, could only sweat drop at the sheer amount of childishness that was being shown. Usually, she was not that carefree. Back to business now. The old man sighed. You will not be coming with me during the invasion. What? She exclaimed, standing up. Her once laid-back features now enraged. In an instant it almost scared her brother just how quickly her mood can change. Why not? Because I need someone to look out for the village while I am gone. Anoki bit out. If I don't make it out alive, then you will be the Tsukage, granddaughter. Aren't you happy? TCH. For one, you're not going to die because you're still too damn powerful. Two, if you actually did die, then one of those two late idiots would become Tsukage, not me. 3. You actually thought I would let my old man go to war alone? She yelled out the last part. I won't lose you to Konoha too, old man. They've taken almost everything else. Her parents were killed during the Third World War. Of course, she had only been a child then, and by that time, all she knew was the name of the man that killed them in battle. To be frank, the name of the man who killed their family was the same for many people in IWA. Namikaze Minato's legendary rampage was known throughout the world as one of the most bloodiest affairs in the history of the 5 great nations. A one-man army who had walked in, outnumbered nearly 20-1 and came out the victor. His once pure yellow hair soaked with the blood of the good men and women of IWA. They called it the Gao Massacre, named for the location of the battle Gao field. No one had truly understood what he did at the time of the assault, but they all knew one thing, that it all happened in a yellow flash. My decision is final. He sighed. You will be staying here. She gritted her teeth hard and was about to answer until the sound of a door opening caught their attention. Sighing again, granddaughter, I called you here because if we fall, then you will be taking over the village. These two, he pointed at the two who had just entered, will be accompanying me to Konoha during the 3rd exam. The man on the right was wearing a large headpiece consisting of a 3-pointed crown-like ridge, bearing both his Iwagakure forehead protector and ring, and a prominent black piece of armor running across his cheeks and the bridge of his nose. His hair was red and he wore a long-sleeved shirt and pants, followed by a brown armor and several pieces of mesh around on it. This was Rashi, the Jinchuriki of Son Goku, the four-tailed monkey god. The man on the left was the tallest figure in the room. He wore what people call the red steam armor with a furnace on the back to emit steam. He has light brown eyes and his armor extends all the way to the bottom half of his face, covering it up. Underneath the armor covering the bottom half of his face, he wears a white cloth which also covers both sides of his face and the top of his head. Aside from his red armor, he also wears a red straw hat. This was Han, Jinchuriki of Koko, the 5-tailed horse. You called Anoki? The man on the right, Rashi was the name he went by, drawled out. His voice was deep and laced with annoyance. I was in the middle of something, as was I. The man on the left, Han, gritted out. His voice came out as if it were being modified, and it gave a fairly chilling factor. Tough. Anoki gritted out, I have a mission for the both of you. During the 3rd stage of the next Chunin exams, hosted in Konoha, you two shall be my bodyguards. You will also be key factors in the upcoming invasion. Do you accept? The two men shared a look and shrugged. It's not like we have a choice. Rashi replied, his eyes narrowing. Although I'm surprised you would want to attack Konoha, you've been 3-time losers now. He laughed out. Han chuckled as well, he's correct. Konoha is quite formidable, and I have no intention of fighting any of the Sannin if they show up. Weaklings! Kuratsuchi exclaimed angrily. We'll destroy Konoha for sure. The Yellow Flash has been dead for nearly 14 years now, and unlike them, we've only gotten stronger over those years. With the loss of Orochimaru and the Uchiha clan, they will truly be vulnerable. With 3 nations against 1, we will surely be victorious. Oh, to be young and naive. Rashi replied wistfully, Konoha had been hailed as the best village for a reason, you know. And 3-on-1? Don't be foolish, Chumogakure will take action and it won't be against Konoha. What? The girl replied, shocked by the statement. How would you know that? Orochimaru has yet to contact us about it. Han laughed again. Foolish girl, have you not been following the news feed? The Yondaime Reikage is not like his father. The great Warmongre is a man of honor and peace. Despite his great power, he has learned that only through peace will his family be safe. And if there is one thing the man cares about, it is his family. Rashi continued for him. Kumogakure has 2 of the 9 Jinchuriki. One of them is known as a great grandmaster in the art of the blade. His name is Killer Bee. The other is the famous tactician of Kumo, Niyujuto. Her mind is as dangerous and sharp as any Nara in Konoha, or so they say. He sighed before going on with his monologue. If Konoha manages to recall Tsunade, then we'll seriously be in trouble. As if they didn't already have enough great medics anyways. Uzumaki Naruto is not known as the immortal without reason, and his master, the White Witch, is just as formidable. If Konoha allies with Kumo, then they'll have gained 2 of the 9 Jinchuriki. The 2-tailed cat and the 8-tailed ox demon. Han then finished, seemingly bored by the conversation at that point. Actually, Son Goku has told me that the 8 tails is actually an octo-ox, whatever the hell that means. Anyways, we're just showing you the odds. Was a light side comment, although no one really paid attention. That Tsuchikage spat out, damn cowards. Well, fortunately for you, Han, Jiraiya will be handled by someone else. Tsunade is not even within 50 miles of the place, and Orochimaru is on our side. All I want you two to do is attack any enemy in sight. And for your information, since Suna is with us, we will have 3 of the 9 Jinchurikis son of Kinso hold Shikaku, the one tail. Not to mention when it comes to forces, we outnumber theirs by nearly 1.5 to 1. The odds are stacked in our favor. Sharing another look, they both sighed and nodded, annoyed by the stubbornness of their leader. Whatever, Inoki. Just don't keel over in the middle of battle, that would hinder us in the short term. Indeed. Han then turned around to leave. If you are actually going to go through with this, then at least live to see the destruction you would have caused, you old fool. The 2 Jinchuriki then left, leaving 3 angry IWA shinobi. Konoha Hokage's office. It has been confirmed. Sarutobi grinned as he talked to his advisors. Wishes to join us in the upcoming conflict. Can he be trusted? Koharu, Sarutobi's old teammate, asked. It's not every day that we team up with our rivals. It was true that Konoha and Kumo were at each other's necks most of the time in their long history. The battles between Minato and A were legendary stories told by both nations, and both of them having different version every single time. But despite the constant feuds, there was no denying the respect both nations had for one another, and it was this respect that could lead to one of the greatest alliances of all time. A is not the dishonest type. Hamura admitted, this could possibly be very genuine. Danzo scoffed, genuine or not, we must prepare for the worst. He said, perhaps we can use this alliance after all. Without them, we'll have a far tougher time driving away the enemy. IWA has 2 of the 9 Jinchuriki in their arsenal, and we only have 1. One who refuses to use the power he was blessed with to boot. Naruto-kun is a rather talented shinobi in his own right, do not insult the boy so easily, Danzo. Sarutobi replied sharply, using the Kyuubi's chakra will be his own decision. Matters not if Kumo does help us, then we'll have gained the help of Killer Bee and Niyujuto. Danzo shrugged, yes they are formidable, I admit. Indeed. Koharu sipped her tea calmly. Will you be recalling Tsunade? I have asked Jiraiya to find her. Hiruzen said if he cannot find her, then she will probably not arrive in time. Koharu sighed, you should have taught your students lessons in loyalty, Hiruzen. A traitor, a coward and well, a hentai. Unfortunate things happen. He sighed as well, knowing that Tsunade would probably not return. Our medics are finites, just a damn shame that she won't return. We don't need that woman. Danzo gritted out, angered by her seemingly careless attitude towards her home country. Sarutobi didn't answer, just continued gazing at his village. We've nothing more to speak of in that regard. Shall we begin the plan to have high-skilled shinobi secretly tail each of our genin teams in the Forest of Death? Hamura asked. Some people may have called it cheating, but in reality, it was more of a huge insurance policy if they lost a genin with high potential. Other countries would rarely send false genin to kill off any new up and rising stars of other countries. The Chunin exams were the best excuses for those type of missions. This time, since war was on the horizon, it was essential to go through with the defensive policy. Yes. Hiruzen nodded curtly. Who will be following the Uchiha squad? Danzo muttered, taking a sip of his own drink before continuing. Itachi would not be happy to hear that his little brother is dead because he was too weak to get past a mere Chunin exam. According to the list, Uzumaki Naruto will be the one to tail that team. Koharu gave out an unladylike snort. I'm sure he took that well, she said sarcastically. Chuckling, Sarutobi agreed. He thinks I'm wasting his time. He is competent. Hamura spoke out. The boy rarely fails his assignments, far too stubborn to lose at anything. We can trust him with Team 7. Danzo made no comment and continued sipping his tea, still annoyed with his confrontation with the boy earlier. We have other things to discuss, including those fools in the dune. Danzo said, shall we reconvene at a later time? I realize that we have outlasted our schedule. Sarutobi nodded. Yes, Kumo War Council. This War Council will now commence. Inside of one room, 15 people sat in front of a large dais. Upon the dais were 3 people. In the middle of 3, sitting on a throne-like seat, was the Yandame Reikage. He wore his standard Kage outfit with his official hat to mark his status. To his right was a blonde woman, whose hair was tied in a ponytail. She wore a Kumo flak jacket, a long-sleeved black shirt and pants, and a single white cloak draped smoothly on her shoulders. Her name was Niyujuto, Kumo's tactician and Jinchuriki of the 2-tailed demon cat. To the Reikage's left was a young man with short, blonde hair and dark eyes. He wore a simple sleeveless black shirt with a one strap over one shoulder white flak jacket, forehead protector, black elbow-length arm guards, and the red and white Kumogakure shin guards along with a pair of sandals. He was called C, and he held the status as official Jonin commander. "Why have you summoned us here today, Reikage-sama? Have we been attacked?" one of the 15 members asked. I vaguely recognized him as a retired shinobi and an old friend of his father, though he was the one that was always against the capture of the Hyuga. "War is just beyond the horizon, and it will all stem from the next Chunin exams," he said calmly. The council did not look too terribly surprised, after all, with the incident earlier and the fact that he had called them. Kumo was not unfamiliar with big conflicts, so the shock factor would not have been too drastic. Not to mention, their last conflict had happened not too long ago. "What is the situation?" another of the councilmen asked. Sighing, he answered. Iwagakure has apparently teamed up with Orochimaru of the Sannin, who has apparently gathered his own force of shinobi, to attack Konoha. I have assembled you all here today to let you all know that we are allying with Konoha. That shocked everyone in the room. Reikage-sama, wouldn't this be a wonderful opportunity to defeat those leaf dogs once and for all? Don't be foolish. Yujito spoke up for the first time. Orochimaru of the Sannin is a monster that will stab us all in the back as soon as we would defeat Konohabas, not ally with him, and that old fool, Anoki. Also, as much as I hate to say it, C followed up, Konoha will make fantastic allies in the future for the time being. At least until we can gain enough power to prove to the world that we are the top village. Couldn't we just destroy Orochimaru after we defeat Konoha? Another voice spoke up. Orochimaru may be a monster, but he is definitely not a fool. He was a well-renowned tactician back in his days, as well he was in the running for Yondaime Hokage. I replied calmly, we cannot underestimate him. There was a few mumblings around after that. The Reikage watched as the group began discussing their opinions and how the situation could unfold for them. During this time, Yujito turned to him and also began talking. This is going better than I thought. No one on the present council has any powerful motive to attack Konoha. Most of the old council who forced the Hyuga situation all died with my father. I replied. I think I've made good selections over the years. It's funny how people automatically think we would team up with any enemy just to take down Konoha. We of Kumo will not be taken as fools, especially not by one of Konoha's missing needs. The Jonin commander added on. This is for the best, I believe. Reikage-sama, have you any word on Suna? They are supposed to be allies with Konoha. He replied curtly, though Orochimaru seemed quite confident. I've also heard of the recent tension between the Kazekage and the Wind Daemyth. There is definitely enough motive for him to betray. We must consult Konoha about that, of course. What do you suppose our course of action should be? One of them asked again. Yujito-sama, I propose that we station 5 platoons of ANBU at Onreikyo when the time of invasion arrives. She started. And then, the Reikage smirked mentally as the council listened to her words attentively. For the next few hours, they spent their time discussing numerous strategies with Yujito leading the talks. They would be ready for any battle to come with her in charge. Despite being the Reikage, he would not have been as successful without her advising his every move. In a way, she was the second command of the village, with C falling just short. Despite her weird quirks that annoyed him, she was still Niyujito, an elite shinobi. Konoha, I only have one advice for you all. The violet-haired woman yelled out, just don't die. And with those words, all of the competing Genin teams raced off to their respective gates. Midarashi Enko held an interesting rank in Konoha, known as Tokubetsu Jounin. Not quite Jounin, but very close. She specialized in assassination. She had light brown eyes, her violet hair was done up in a short, fairly spiky ponytail. The woman wore a tan overcoat, and complete with a fitted mesh bodysuit that stretches from her neck down to her thighs within dark orange mini skirt. You know, she said aloud, seemingly talking to herself because no one was visible around her, don't you have something to do? Behind a tree, hidden carefully, was a blonde-haired teen. I have plenty of time to track those twerps down. Naruto replied. He appeared next to her in a flash. I just wanted to say hi to an old friend. TCH. You don't just say hi to people. And we're hardly old friends, brat. You have a purpose here and you're trying to sweet-talk me into giving it to you. She replied, a predatory look now in her eyes. Talk, heh, I actually did just want to say hi, Enko-chan. But now that you mention it, I was wondering if you sensed anything weird amongst those kids? He asked seriously. She quirked a brow, curious. Nothing in particular. Why do you ask? Naruto didn't answer immediately, his eyes gazing at the forest. Flashback. Naruto was having a weird morning. Of course, being a medical shinobi for the majority of his life, he had waken up to several odd jobs. One day, Rin had called him in to fix a guy that managed to get a kunai stuck into his left hand, glued as if accidentally using chakra to force it in. There was another time when he met a Hyuga who kept spouting on and on about fate, and how he was stuck to fight it. Had never met a Hyuga who mumbled to himself so much before. It was almost comically annoying now that he thought about it. But right now, in his very office while he was taking in his simple breakfast, The doctor found himself listening to one of his other foxes talk about his wild night with a bunch of friends. So this idiot thought he could talk up one of the cuties at the hub. And man, was she a vixen. Red coat, thin eyes and a tail to die for. Man, if I wasn't already committed with children. Jin muttered the last part. I didn't think foxes were capable of monogamy. The blonde thought, amused by the silver fox's admission. She told me her name was Akane. I should totally bring her to you, champ. She said she was a business specialist or something. Naruto shook his head. Haim is already handling that job for me. He replied calmly, I don't want to offend her, that would be quite devastating. That's true. Jin admitted grumpily, not to mention she's daddy's little girl. Man, Akira would destroy you if you ever hurt his little daughter. He can be very overprotective at times, it's a little crazy. He mocked slightly in a high-pitched tone. Naruto snorted at the show. I'm shocked that you would mock him so easily. Everyone else treats him like a god. The doctor said, not that I can blame any of them. Akira was very intense when I met him, radiated an aura that basically says kiss your ass goodbye if you piss me off. Jin laughed hard at that, rolling around a bit. I'm not gonna say it to his face, champ. If I did, he'd have me thrown into Inari's pit. The silver fox shivered at the thought. Only the best come from there. I'm good, but it would be troublesome to be locked up in there. Never thought I'd see the day when the Fox clan's only space/time ninjutsu specialist fears something other than his wife and children's disapproval. He quipped with a chuckle, Akira must be powerful. You have no idea, champ. Jin replied, you have no idea. Anyways, what are you doing here, Jin? It's not every day that you just pop up for a visit. The blonde said, hell, when I first signed the contract, I didn't even think you liked me. What? That's ridiculous. If I didn't like you, I'd be calling you chump, not champ. Jin smiled, but yeah, I did come for something. Word on the street is Konoha will soon be under attack from several villages. Are we now? He replied sarcastically, having already known for a week now. I sure hope Kumo isn't in on it. I remember how powerful their shinobi are. Especially that idiotic rapper and kitty. The fox sweat dropped. You are referring to two of the most powerful humans in your world as the idiotic rapper and kitty? Jin asked calmly. Naruto nodded, making the elder fox smirk. See, that's why I call you champ. Anyways, like I was saying before, when I heard about it, I had to come running to see what you were gonna do. It's been ages since this place has been invaded, not since the Second War, I think. Why do you care? Naruto asked shrewdly. Konoha's problems are not the Fox clans. Are you kidding me, champ? The guys back home love you. If you die, then we'll be losing a good man. Jin told him, we foxes take care of our own. How touching. Naruto wasn't really sure how to feel about Jin's words. For years now, he and the foxes had a rather fair relationship, but he never expected such a show of camaraderie from Jin of all foxes. But I assure you, I won't die. I'm not infamous for nothing, you know. You see, that's what we all thought too, champ. Until we found out just who the hell you guys were going up against. You see, your opponents have even caught the eye of Akira. The blonde narrowed his eyes. What are you saying? I realize that IWA is probably one of them. I'm not too sure who else is in on it though. Oto. Jin said, according to our sources, Oto will be our enemy. Naruto quirked a brow at our statement. Our enemies are Oto, IWA and Suna. We are allied with Suna. Naruto exclaimed, how did you get word that they will betray us? My buddies and I had to go to the desert recently for an excavation. We overheard a Jonin talking about it discreetly to a Chunin. We have confirmed that Suna will indeed betray Konoha. Naruto was shocked. Of course, he realized that war was coming, but he didn't think they would be this outmatched. For Suna to defect meant that they would be surrounded completely by hostiles. Things were not looking good. And Kumo? He asked, if Kumo attacks us, we're finished? No, we have no word on Kumo. I think he should go tell the old guy about Suna. He probably already suspects it, but a confirmation will make preparation easier. Naruto nodded. Is there anything else? Beware of a red-headed boy. Jin replied, as if reciting a quote he had been told. The desert foxes think that he will be the dark horse threat of sorts from Suna. He'll be the most dangerous other than their boss, Kinso. I think he was named. Kinso, the fourth Kazekage, the golden Superman Kinso. Yes, I know of him, unfortunately. Was Naruto's grim reply. He is easily one of the world's most powerful shinobi. Anoki, Kinso and Orochimaru, they will not be easy to overcome. Not to mention. Jin suddenly stopped mid-sentence. Naruto seemed bemused for a moment, and spoke out to him. Something wrong? Jin looked at him as if he were crazy. You don't feel that? His voice was low, caution tainted in it. Really? Narrowing his eyes and tilting his head slightly, he asked, feel what? Naruto then began stirring his tea slowly and took a slow sip before closing his eyes, in order to focus on his surroundings. That was when it hit him, a sense of absolute and utter blackness. It was as if an aura of destruction had arrived, ready to set the world into a sort of chaos, anarchy. The blonde stood up and walked to his window, his gaze now searching the village in hope of finding this source of darkness. How did I miss that? He asked rhetorically, his tone was grim. What is that? I don't know, champ. Jin replied slowly, but it is without a shadow of a doubt your enemy. Naruto nodded. I need to talk to the Hokage. I'll see you later. He breathed out, the fox agreed and then disappeared without a sound, leaving the blonde to think to himself for a moment. Who are you? There was no answer as the village stayed the way it was in his sight. End flashback. I just felt something odd earlier, he replied. Guess I'll get going now. The Uchiha, the pink one and the dog kid won't last long if they're targeted. Anko nodded. Good luck with that, kid. I pity you. I would hate to get this crappy mission. And with that, she walked off, leaving the blonde to go meet his fate in the forest of death. It was a dark, humid night. The stars were shining brightly down upon the eerie forest. The trees were high above the ground from what Team 7 could see, as they were now camped in a secluded area away from any scenes of battle. Uchiha Sasuke had led his team to fight other squads a couple times already, and both bouts were successful but ultimately in vain as their goal was still incomplete. They had the Earth Scroll and needed a Heaven Scroll, something the last two opponents lacked, unfortunately. What a day, Kiba muttered quietly, scratching a wound he had gotten earlier on his ribs. A couple of ranged shinobi had managed to catch him by surprise when he was taking a leak away from his teammates. Luckily, Akamaru had sensed them instantly when they revealed themselves. Didn't think ranged shinobi were so good at masking their scent. We can't underestimate anyone here, Kiba. Sakura was the one who had bandaged him after the fight. We'll lose for sure that way. Of course, with Sasuke-kun here, I doubt we'll lose to anybody, was her quiet exclamation. HN. The raven-haired boy grunted, quiet. Someone might sneak up on us. Oh, don't worry, we set up a good perimeter of traps around Sasuke. Beyond that, Akamaru and I will be able to smell anyone coming our way. No problem, Arf. Arf. See, Akamaru agrees. Sighing, Sasuke just shrugged, not wanting to argue with the dog of all people. Who's taking first watch? I'll do it. Sakura volunteered immediately. Don't worry. I'll take care of you guys. Nodding, Sasuke found a small tree and began to doze off. Kiba was not too far from him. I'll take second, he said before falling asleep himself. Sakura just sat at the small bonfire, contemplating her actions on the day so far. I didn't do anything, she scolded herself. The girl wanted very much to express her frustration in loud grumblings, but it would have probably distracted her from her current objective. Sakura did not know what to do with the skills she learned from the academia at the moment. She had seen the distance between herself and the rest of her fellow graduates, even her rival Ino. Unlike them, she didn't have any special techniques or clan moves. All she had were her smarts, and to the pink-haired girl, that was just plain unacceptable. It all began back in Wave when she was asked to spar against that doctor, Naruto. At first, she was hesitant to fight him. Why? Because the older team was a Chunin, he was clearly the superior fighter. It surprised Sakura just how powerful a person of his age could be. When they had fought, the blonde did not even try when defeating her. He mocked her sense of strategy and intelligence, something that she took pride in more so than her love for Sasuke. I need to get stronger, she thought to herself, conviction filling in strongly. I don't want to be a burden anymore, she spoke very quietly for the sake of her teammates. She watched her crush sleep peacefully by the tree and began thinking again. He's so strong, so focused. Why can't I do the same? Her gaze then turned to her other teammate Kiba. Even Kiba, who was the dead last in the academy, he's strong too. Kiba's stronger than me for sure. She began drawing various patterns in the dirt. All of them were equations she had learned from the academy. They varied from things like projections of kunai and measurement of chakra level. It was then she realized, all of it didn't matter in the field.